Chapter 1532. Sima Yue and the other two stood at the top of the mountain. Because of Wu Lingyu's enchantment, the spirit beasts below did not notice them. The massacre below is really tragic. Feng Zhixing didn't have any sympathy for the people and spirit beasts below. If you want to snatch the treasure, you have to pay with your life. Wu Lingyu said, "We weren't the only ones who noticed that there was something wrong with those ancient spirit beasts. Others must have noticed it as well. If it weren't for my greed, I wouldn't have ended up like this." Similarly, there was no sympathy. Sima Yue pouted. There was nothing wrong with these people's choices. Who didn't like treasures? If it wasn't for the fact that she had already obtained so much, she would definitely have participated today. The birth of these ancient spiritual beasts will most likely cause another upheaval in the continent. She sighed. Hasn't the continent been in enough turmoil recently? Feng Zhixing had a hint of worry in his eyes. Recently the continent had been too chaotic. The massacre caused by the Sky Splitter Devil Sword had yet to be completed. The mysterious black-robed man's power had stirred up the central region into a state of chaos. Then there were the corpses that appeared later on. Now that the ancient spirit beasts had appeared, it was either the spirit beasts hunting humans or humans hunting the spirit beasts. In short, the current situation could only be described with one word: chaos. Will these spirit beasts go out and kill people? Sima Yue was a little worried. I can't say for sure. Feng Zhixing said, right now there aren't many ancient spirit beasts that have come out. I think that even if they want to rule the continent, they don't have the strength right now. Perhaps it will stay dormant for a period of time and search for more ancient spiritual beasts. Are you saying that there are other ancient minds? Sima Yue widened her eyes. There must be, but we don't know much about it now. Wu Lingyu couldn't help but pinch her nose when she saw her expression. Do these spirit beasts know? Sima Yue asked. I'm not one of those spirit beasts, how would I know if they know? Wu Lingyu said, I'm just speculating. I hope they can lay low and give the Sima family some time to breathe, Sima Yue said. The Sima family's current strength was nothing in the entire continent. By chance, he had obtained his clan's inheritance and obtained a complete spiritual technique. However, he was still not good enough for his spirit beast. The spirit beasts were still slaughtering and howling. Some of the ores that were originally in the interspatial rings also reacted. Many of the interspatial rings directly shattered, and ancient spirit beasts appeared in the pile of treasures. Thinking of the ores in the spirit pagoda, and then looking at the sounds of the spirit beasts coming from everywhere, she was incomparably glad that she had placed them in the spirit pagoda, so that they would not be affected by this. She had so many spirit beasts. If all of them came out, it would probably be a disaster. Let's leave. Feng Zhixing himself did not have the confidence to face so many spirit beasts. He had already contacted the people of the Integral Moon Palace and left the mine after meeting them. Boom. The mountain at the side directly exploded from the inside. The human-faced ape and a few figures from before rushed out from the mountain. The huge impact of the battle caused Sima Yue, who was in the spirit barrier, to feel the majestic power that soared to the sky. She thought to herself that they were indeed the geniuses of the hidden clans. Shen Qiuhe, Eastern Lai Li, and Northern Du Hao were in three different directions, surrounding the human-faced ape in the middle. At this moment, the three of them had a tacit understanding. They put down their previous grudges and settled the trouble in front of them first. However, even if the three of them joined forces, they were still not a match for the human-faced ape. After a few rounds, they were all beaten to the ground. Previously, they were barely able to fight to a draw. It was probably because they had the advantage of the terrain. Mi-air. Sima Yue shouted loudly. She turned Mi-air into a white chain and threw it out. It caught Shen Qiuhe and prevented him from falling to the ground. However, Northern Du Hao and Eastern Lai Li were not so lucky. They directly fell to the ground from mid-air. Fortunately, they landed on the corpses on the ground and had spiritual energy to protect their bodies. Otherwise, they would probably have fallen to death. When Eastern Lai Li saw that Sima Yue only saved Shen Qiuhe, anger flashed across her eyes. They were considered acquaintances. Why didn't she save her? When the human-faced ape saw that someone had interfered, it turned to face Sima Yue. When it saw her appearance, it was obviously stunned. No, it's not. It muttered and shook its head. Kill it. Eastern Lai Li supported herself with one hand on the ground. She looked at Sima Yue with a murderous gaze. This woman actually didn't save it. She really deserved to die. Sima Yue was a little confused by the human-faced ape's reaction. It looked at her as if it was looking at an acquaintance. Who are you? The human-faced ape stared at Sima Yue and asked. Sima Yue. Sima Yue replied. She looked at the human-faced ape. When it heard her name, its body obviously trembled. Sima Yue. Sima Yue. The human-faced ape took a step back. This reaction. Could it be that there was someone who looked like it and had the same name as it? You can leave. I won't kill you. The human-faced ape said. Take him and his clansmen away too. Sima Yue said. You're not her. Don't push your luck. The human-faced ape was a little annoyed that a little human dared to negotiate with it. Whether you agree or not, the result will be the same. Sima Yue said. If she wanted to take Xian Qiuhe away, even it couldn't stop her. Whether you agree or not, the result will be the same. If you let him go today, I'll owe you a favor. Many years ago, it heard her say the same thing. At that time, it gave her face. In the future, it would be very grateful for that decision. Although Sima Yue said it so confidently, if she really wanted to take the Xianqiu clansmen away, it would take a lot of effort. However, the human-faced ape was obviously distracted after hearing what she said. Just as she was thinking about what this spirit beast was thinking, it suddenly opened its mouth and said, "All right, I'll give you face today." It was so easy to talk to. Just as she was surprised, the human-faced ape howled and the spirit beast surrounding the Xianqiu clan stopped. Seeing that Xianqiu was at the top of the mountain, Xianqiu and the rest ran over. Those who are alive are all here. The human-faced ape said. Those who weren't here were all dead. Thank you. Sima Yue didn't say anything about returning the favor. She thought that if she could suppress it in the future, she would let it go. However, the other party was so strong. She thought about it and suppressed those words. Master, let's go. With the human-faced apes pass, they didn't have to worry about being attacked by these ancient spirit beasts. Miss Yue. Northern Du Hao called out to Sima Yue, save us too. Although Eastern Lai Li didn't say anything, she looked at Sima Yue with eyes full of hope. Sima Yue frowned and looked at the human-faced ape, saying, Can I? No. The human-faced ape keenly felt that Sima Yue didn't want to save these people and rejected her directly. Sima Yue shrugged and said innocently, See, it's not that I don't want to save them. They don't want to give me face. If I save you, we won't be able to leave. Chapter 1533. Sima Yue's words almost made Northern Du Hao and Eastern Lai Li vomit blood. He clearly didn't want to save them, but he pushed the responsibility onto the human-faced ape. Too shameless. If they could escape today, they would definitely take revenge on her for not saving them today. If Sima Yue knew what they were thinking, she would definitely vomit blood. It was her right to save them, not her duty. If she wanted to save someone, then she would. If she didn't want to save someone, then she wouldn't. One of them was someone who targeted him from time to time, while the other was someone who captured women to be his cauldron. He didn't like the two of them, so why should he make things difficult for the ancient spiritual beasts for them? For the other party to allow her to take away the people from the Xianqiu clan, she already did not know who he was giving face to. Let's go. She was too lazy to pay attention to these self-righteous people. Eastern Lai Li panicked when she saw that they were really leaving. She called out Xianqiu's name in a panic. Xianqiu was in a difficult position. After all, Donglai clan and Xianqiu clan were family friends. Sima Yue saw Xianqiu frown and sighed, saying, Alone. She turned her gaze to the human-faced ape. Although she didn't speak, the other party already understood her meaning. 2 favors. The human-faced ape said. That meant that she owed him 2 favors. What's the use of owing you a favor? I'm so weak and I don't have a good background. Sima Yue said, She's the young mistress of a hidden family, and she has a good background. If the people of the hidden family find out that you let their young miss go, they will definitely repay you in the future. You've just come out, so it's not good for you to make everyone your enemy, right? If the hidden clan owes you a favor, then it's a good deal. The human-faced ape looked at Eastern Lai Li and then looked at Sima Yue. Although she wasn't as strong as that person, her aura was exactly the same. He shook his head and said, No, I want yours. Sima Yue was speechless. Did this guy not know who should owe him a favor? Miss Yue, if you save me, my Donglai family will remember your kindness. Eastern Lai Li now understood that Sima Yue really didn't intend to save her. If she didn't speak nicely, her only chance would be gone. Then you have to remember that I saved you twice. I remember. Eastern Lai Li tried her best to make herself look more sincere. I owe you a favor, so I can't lose out. You owe me 2 favors in the future. Sima Yue said, I hope that I'm not Mr. Donghua. What? No one knew about Mr. Donghua, so they didn't understand what she was talking about. Nothing. Sima Yue shook her head. She looked at the human-faced ape and asked, What is your name? I can return the favor in the future. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, remember my name. The human-faced ape said. His voice was not loud, but it spread throughout the entire mine, announcing to the world that he, Supreme Fifth Spirit Master, had appeared. Sima Yue saw his heroic look and her heart trembled. She thought that this guy must have been a hero in the ancient times. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, I'll remember it. Sima Yue said, goodbye. She turned and left. The people from Xianqiu family left carefully. Eastern Lai Li got up from the ground and watched as Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior slowly retreated. After confirming that he wouldn't attack, she turned and chased after the people from Xianqiu family. As for the people from Eastern Lai family, she couldn't care less about them now. At most, when she returned, she would reward their families more. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior looked at Sima Yue's back view as she left. His gaze was filled with nostalgia and sorrow. If she hadn't been killed, he wouldn't have given up and sealed himself, allowing a long time to heal himself. He didn't expect to see someone who looked so similar to her the moment he came out. No, she was her, they were the same person. Could it be that he had waited for millions of years just to meet her again? Sima Yue suddenly felt something. She turned around and looked at him. The wind blew her long hair. That elegant long hair and misty eyes instantly made his eyes wet with tears. Pifif. Northern Du Hao saw that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was in a daze and used a secret technique to escape. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior squinted his eyes. His hands floated behind his back. He didn't make a move. He just watched as the spirit beasts below treated humans as their first big meal after waking up. Sima Yue and the others left the mining area. They could still hear the battle and screams from afar. Master, should we go back directly after finding Uncle Feng and the others? Sima Yue asked. Yes, we've been here for almost half a year. I told them to retreat to the entrance where we came from. We'll leave from there. Feng Zhixing said. They left the mining area and passed through the grassland. They came to the forest where they came from before and stopped to set up camp. The people from Integral Moon Palace rushed over to meet them. Knowing that the ancient spirit beasts had appeared, they didn't even dare to rest. They rushed through the night, afraid that the spirit beasts would change their minds and chase after them. Sima Yue believed that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior wouldn't do such a thing. However, Eastern Lai Li had just escaped death. Without the protection of her clansmen, she was very afraid. She couldn't wait to leave immediately and kept urging them. If it wasn't for Xianqiu He, Sima Yue would have kicked her away long ago. We should leave as soon as possible. Eastern Lai Li said. Once we're out of the desert, those spirit beasts won't be able to chase after us. Yue and I still have some things to talk about. Moreover, everyone has been rushing for the past few days. They're all very tired. Xianqiu He still took care of Eastern Lai Li. The smile on his face was still there. However, Sima Yue felt that he had distanced himself from her. Lady Eastern Lai, just bear with it. We'll leave once we're done talking. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. She pushed Xianqiu He into her tent. Eastern Lai Li wanted to follow them. Sima Yue turned around and pulled the curtain of the tent. She smiled and said, I'm really sorry. I have some things to talk about with Xianqiu He. It's a secret. It's not convenient for you to come in. You can wait outside. After speaking, she pulled with both hands and isolated Eastern Lai Li outside. Wu Lingyu casually set up a barrier and sat on a chair with Feng Zhixing to wait for her. Yue, what's the matter? Xianqiu He asked. I want to ask you. Do you know about rebirth from fire? Xianqiu He subconsciously frowned and said, You want that divine medicine? Yes. Sima Yue nodded. I need it very much. Feng Zhixing looked at Sima Yue in surprise. He didn't expect her to want to be reborn from fire. However, he vaguely guessed it. Sima Yue saw that Xianqiu He was in danger and felt a little uneasy. Their relationship wasn't particularly close. Although she saved his life this time, she didn't know which was more important in his heart. The divine medicine is indeed in the Xianqiu clan. Xianqiu He seemed to have made a decision. What are you going to do with the divine medicine? Chapter 1534. Sima Yue knew that he would ask her this question and did not intend to hide it from him. My father is injured. His foundation has been damaged and he can no longer cultivate. If I want to reconstruct her meridians, I need to be reborn from the ashes. The divine medicine is my clan's treasure. Even if it's me, I don't have absolute confidence in obtaining it. Xianqiu He said. In other words, this was not something he could decide. Then how can I obtain it? Xianqiu He frowned and said, I will try my best to help you fight for it, but I might not succeed. He did not make any request to Sima Yue. Perhaps it was because she was just a small girl and did not have much to ask of the Yin family. He wasn't sure, but she had to get the divine medicine no matter what. Has the divine medicine matured? Wu Lingyu asked. Not yet. Xianqiu, he said, there are still 5 years. 5 years should be enough. Sima Yue mumbled. What do you mean? I should be able to cure you in 5 years. Sima Yue said. What? Xianqiu, he retracted his crossed hands and looked towards Sima Yue. Even if he could use his divine sense to know her position and what she was doing, he couldn't really see her appearance. In fact, he really wanted to know what a colorful world looked like. Therefore, he was not as desireless as he thought he was. When I examined you before, I said that I was only 50% confident. But if you give me another 5 years, I think I can at least raise it to 90%. Sima Yue said, whether or not you can help me get the divine medicine, I will treat your illness. If Xianqiu he couldn't get it by then, she could use this opportunity to enter the Xianqiu clan and think of a way to get the divine medicine. Xianqiu he was so smart, how could he not know what she was thinking? However, he didn't say anything. He only nodded and said, I will send someone to pick you up before the divine medicine ripens. All right. I think you should have a way to get out, right? Then we'll take our leave. Xianqiu he bowed towards Wu Lingyu and Feng Zhixing. When his divine sense landed on Wu Lingyu, it lingered for a while longer. He turned around and left. Wu Lingyu removed the barrier before he left. Very soon he heard him talking to Eastern Lai Li. I've already talked to them. We can go back now. I'll send you back to the Eastern Lai clan first, then I'll go back. Even if his impression of Eastern Lai Li was already bad, he would still be considerate enough to send her back, in case anything happened to her along the way. Xianqiu he brought the Xianqiu clan and left. Sima Yue and the rest rested at the edge of the forest for a night. The next morning they packed their things and left. The method of the Integral Moon Palace was similar to that of the Xianqiu family. They also used a roundabout method to avoid dangerous places. They also encountered some attacks along the way. Fortunately, the strength of the people of the Integral Moon Palace was not bad. Those spirit beasts did not get any benefits. Instead, they were killed and made into delicious food by Sima Yue. Half a year later, they finally left the desert and came to the place where Sima Yue first set up camp. There were still many people guarding there, but Sima Yue did not find the Xi family there. They probably left long ago. Thinking about it, they went in for more than half a year, stayed in the mining area for more than half a year, and spent more than half a year coming out. Calculating the time, it had been nearly 2 years since she left. The Xi family was not interested in ancient spirit beasts. They definitely would not stay for such a long time. It was just that she did not know if they went back to Ghost City or wandered around other places. They spent more than a month on the spatial ship to Chu City. After arriving at Chu City, Feng Xiujie and the rest left with the harvest of this operation. Master, aren't you going back? Sima Yue asked. I am going to see your father, Feng Zhixing said. His gaze was a little sad as he looked into the distance. Once upon a time they traveled the mainland together and were extremely carefree. Now, although he had never asked Sima Yue about his situation, when he heard her say that he was like a cripple, he felt that he should go and see him. Does Master want to go back with me? That's good. Although Father is back now, his mood has been very low. Master is Father's good friend. If you go and see him, he should be happier. Sima Yue smiled. I've been away from home for 2 years. I don't know how the family is now. Her heart was actually a little drumming. Father had never asked her about her master before. She did not know what it would be like when they met. It should be nothing, right? They went back directly from Chu City. As soon as they arrived at the family, the first person Sima Yue saw was not Sima Zhiyuan and the rest, nor her father, but the black-faced Siyu. Siyu, why are you here? The corners of her mouth twitched. She took a few steps back and looked up at the words on the courtyard. That's right, it was indeed the Sima family. It was also her courtyard. But why was this guy here? Because Feng Zhixing was with her, she brought him to her own courtyard to look for her father first before going to look for Sima Zhiyuan and the rest. She did not expect to see the black-faced Siyu as soon as she entered the courtyard, as well as Si Hui and Si Yi who were leisurely sipping tea behind. Siyu had her hands on her hips as she glared at Sima Yue and complained, Yue, how could you do this? You abandoned me and secretly ran off to the ancient mines by yourself. I know you were worried about me. But look, didn't I come back safe and sound? Sima Yue smiled as she held her arm. Who was worried about you? I'm angry. Do you know I'm angry? Siyu snorted coldly. If you're angry, then I'll make you something nice to eat as an apology, okay? Sima Yue said. 1 month. You have to cook for me for a month to show some sincerity. Okay. Sima Yue smiled and replied, I'll definitely make you a lot of good food, so good that you'll vomit. But I have something to settle now. She turned back to look at Feng Zhixing, who was at the courtyard entrance, and said, Master, I'll bring you to look for my father. Your father isn't here, he went to look for your grandfather. But he'll definitely come back as soon as he knows that you're back. See, you said. Then I'll bring Master to the living room first. Sima Yue brought Feng Zhixing to the living room. Soon, familiar footsteps could be heard from the courtyard. Yue, are you okay? Sima Lu Shen came in and saw Sima Yue standing there. She moved aside and Feng Zhixing was revealed, causing Sima Lu Shen to be stunned. Father, you're back. Master said that he wanted to see you. Sima Yue placed the teacup in Feng Zhixing's hands, then went forward to hold Sima Lu Shen and patted his arm. Chapter 1535. Sima Yue was worried that an old friend who she hadn't seen for many years and a former rival in love would clash with. However, her worries were unnecessary. Sima Lu Shen was stunned for a moment before he sat down beside Feng Zhixing and said, Why are you here? I heard that you're not doing well, so I came to comfort you. Feng Zhixing glanced at his white hair. You made yourself look like this, it really makes me happy. Master, that's not what you said on the way here. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. Seeing them like this, there shouldn't be any conflict. There were some things that couldn't be said in front of her. Father, Master, you haven't seen each other for so long, have a good chat. I'm going to meet great-grandfather and the rest. After that, she pulled Wu Lingyu and left. Master, you're back. Musi was waiting for her outside the door. His eyes flashed when he saw their hands clasped together. Musi, have you been cultivating these 2 years? I'll check your homework when I'm back. 2 years had passed and Musi was longer than before. Okay. Master, are you going to meet the clan leader and the rest? Musi asked. Yes. I've been away for so long, now that I'm back, I have to let them know. Sima Yue said, Go and do your things first, I'll look for you when I'm back. Yes. Sima Yue let Wu Lingyu rest while she went to look for Sima Zhiyuan and the rest. It wasn't that she wanted to guard against Wu Lingyu, but the two of them weren't married yet and he wasn't considered a member of the clan, so she had to avoid him. Sima Zhiyuan and Sima He-shun knew that she was back and thought that she would come to see them, so they were waiting for her in the main hall. Other than old ancestor Sima Qing, almost everyone she knew was there. Greetings to great-grandfather, great-uncle, grandfather, grandmother. Sima Yue bowed to them. You've lost weight in 2 years. Huang Yingying said with heartache. Sima Yue touched her face and smiled. Where did I lose weight? I didn't change. It's just that I've lost weight. I heard that something happened at the mining area. We were worried to death. Huang Yingying said. News usually spread faster than people. Before Sima Yue returned, what happened in the ancient mining area had already spread across the entire continent. Although the situation in the mining area was quite tragic at that time, it wasn't that there weren't any survivors. Moreover, not everyone was there. As soon as people came out, the news naturally spread. When the Sima clan heard the news, they were scared out of their wits. They wanted to go to the mines to look for her, but Sima Qing scolded them and said that her life jade was fine. How could anything happen to her? Only then did they continue to wait at home. I'm back in one piece. Sima Yue said. Yue, what's going on? There are all sorts of rumors circulating outside. Did an ancient spirit beast really appear? Sima Zhiyuan asked. Yes. Sima Yue nodded and told them what had happened. Heavens, those rumors are actually true. Everyone exclaimed, luckily you all left successfully. Is the continent going to be in chaos again? Sima Xiuqi frowned. I don't think it will happen anytime soon. Sima Yue said, just like what Master and the others guessed, these spirit beasts will probably go and look for their ancient brethren. If the ancient spirit beasts appear, I'm afraid it will cause a storm of blood. Huang Yingying sighed. Looks like we have to increase our strength quickly. Sima Zhiyuan said, we have to adjust our finances later on and buy more tamed high-grade spirit beasts. In these 2 years, everyone has already understood the clan's inheritance and has become stronger after merging with their contracted beasts. If we can get a batch of good spirit beasts, we can increase our strength greatly. I agree. Let's save some of our expenses and buy more spirit beasts. Sima He-shun said, but we still have to discuss this with the clan elders. Tamed high-grade spirit beasts were not cheap. If they wanted to buy them in bulk, it would be a huge expense for any power. But the clan's beast tamer masters were not very strong. Otherwise the cost of taming them would be much lower. I think we shouldn't buy spirit beasts for the time being. Sima Yue interrupted their conversation. Don't buy? Do you have any good ideas? Sima Hishun asked. Actually, I gained quite a lot from my trip to the ancient mines this time. Sima Yue said, if we can tame the ancient spirit beasts and make them our contracted beasts, it will definitely be better than ordinary spirit beasts. What did you say? The people in the house did not react in time. Sima Yue waved her hand and a stone statue appeared in front of everyone. This is the ancient or that hasn't been opened yet. The stone layer has already fallen off and we can see the spirit beast's appearance, so it should be an ancient spirit beast. As long as we can open it and tame it, we can use it as a contracted beast for our clansmen. They will definitely become stronger. Sima Yue said, but we don't know if we can tame it. Ordinary beast taming methods won't work, but the imperial beast art will definitely work. Sima Hishun felt as if his breathing had stopped as he looked at the stone statue with sparkling eyes. It's just that the imperial beast tamer masters have not fully understood it yet. Huang Yingying said. I have understood it but I don't know if I can tame it. We'll only know after we try. Sima Yue said. Let's open this first. To be safe, let's go to the beast taming ground. Sima Zhiyuan said. Okay. The group of people came to the beast taming ground. There were many spirit beasts here. You guys can go back first. Sima Zhiyuan said to the beast tamer masters and the people in charge of the beast taming ground. Yes, clan leader. Those people all left and only the few of them were left in the beast taming ground. Let's go to the innermost room. Sima Yue followed them in. The spirit beasts in the open-air cages outside all rushed over when they saw them, but they were all stopped by the cages in the end. After passing through the cages they came to a huge room. When they walked in, the space inside was even bigger. Once again the space was enlarged. The space here is huge and there's a barrier. Even if we open it, we can guarantee that it won't escape. Sima Xiuqi said. Sima Yue also felt the thick barrier and nodded, saying, then let's do it here. Actually, it was best to open it in the spirit pagoda. If anything happened, little spirit would be able to react immediately. But for the first one they would only believe it when they saw it. The stone skin was already very thin and there was no need to use tools to open it. Sima Zhiyuan hit it with his spiritual energy and it was neither light nor heavy. It just happened to break the stone skin and reveal the ancient spirit beast inside. Chapter 1536. It was a spirit beast that looked like a leopard, but its ears were not semicircular but pointed. Its tail was only a short section, not a long one. Its eyes were tightly shut, and it did not wake up immediately after the ore came out. Sima Yue and the rest looked at it but did not go near it immediately. The spirit beast suddenly opened its eyes and looked at them with murderous intent, attacking them without saying a word. Sima Zhiyuan and Sima Hishun went up and fought with that fellow. Sima Yue quickly ran further away in case she was affected. This spirit beast was not particularly strong, at least under the combined attacks of Sima Zhiyuan and Sima Hishun, it was defeated in a short while. Sima Yue saw the severely injured spirit beast. Oh, it was not that it was not strong but it was bullied by two old fellows so it could only be defeated. She walked over, the spirit beast on the ground was already on its last breath, but its eyes were still filled with murderous intent, and it did not submit. Let me try. After confirming that the spirit beast had no strength to resist, she placed her hand on its forehead, activated the imperial beast art and began to tame it. It had to be said that ancient spirit beast's mental strength was much stronger than ordinary spirit beasts. When she was taming it, she could clearly feel that it was very resistant, and it was difficult to tame it. But the benefits were better than taming ordinary spirit beasts. Sima Zhiyuan and the rest looked at her anxiously. Although they were sure that the spirit beast had no strength to fight back, they were still afraid that something unexpected would happen. As time passed, Sima Yue's face was covered in sweat, and her face became very pale. 2 days had passed, Sima Yue's situation was getting worse, and the worry on everyone's faces became more and more obvious. If it was not for the fact that she would be injured by external disturbances, they would have asked her to stop immediately. Finally, on the 3rd day, the spirit beast's eyes became dispirited, and it finally gave up completely. Sima Yue also fell back weakly. Yue. Huang Yingying quickly went up to support her, letting her lean into her arms. I'm fine, just a little weak, I'll be fine after eating some pills. Sima Yue said weakly. You're too reckless. If it's strenuous, just withdraw. How can you force yourself? Huang Yingying said with heartache. I was just thinking that I was about to succeed. Sima Yue smiled. Look, didn't I succeed in taming it in the end? In one spurt of energy, the next decline. Actually, this is also good. As long as it succeeds, it will be easier to tame the others. Sima Xiuqi said. Huang Yingying glared at him. No matter how good it is, it's not as important as Yueyue's health. Yes. Sima Yue ate the pill and rested in Huang Yingying's arms. Sima Zhiyuan, Sima Hishun and the others looked at the tamed spirit beast, thinking about how to deal with it. This spirit beast wasn't particularly powerful, but it was much more powerful than ordinary people's contracted beasts. Who was he going to give it to? Why don't we give it to Xinshu? Sima Xianshu was one of the more talented ones among the younger generation. If he could have an ancient spirit beast, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. But what should the others say? They were all disciples of the family. If they gave it to Sima Xianshu, the others might have other thoughts. Why don't we let the younger generation compete and the winner will contract it? Great-grandfather, great-uncle, this spirit beast isn't very powerful. I feel that if we give it to Xinshu, it would be a waste of his talent. Sima Yue said. Just find someone from the family and contract it. Find someone? Did she know the importance of an ancient spirit beast to a spirit master? Especially for people like them who had fused spirit skills. An ancient spirit beast was a huge help. Good steel should be used on the blade. This ancient spirit beast definitely couldn't be contracted by anyone. Don't worry. Other than this, there are others. There will definitely be some powerful ones left for Xinshu and the others. Sima Yue said. You have more than one? Yes, didn't I say just now? I have many. Sima Yue said. Many? How many is that? Sima Zhiyuan and the others forgot to breathe as they stared at her blankly. Sima Yue estimated and said, I think there are a few thousand. The core disciples of the family should be able to get one. How many did you say? A few thousand? Were they hallucinating? How could there be a few thousand ancient spirit beasts? If a power could have a few, they would probably be overjoyed, right? Sima Yue saw that they looked as if they had seen a ghost and shrank into Huang Yingying's arms, saying, There are a few thousand. I think there are 2,000 to 3,000. She felt that there should be more than 2,000 to 3,000 in the spirit pagoda. But if she said more, she was afraid that they wouldn't be able to take it. If there weren't enough later, she would just tell them. Even so, they were still shocked. They wanted to say something, but no sound came out when they opened their mouths. Was this what she meant when she said to try her luck? No one would have a better harvest than her. After a while, they slowly digested the news and said, If there really are that many, we might be able to climb up the ranks immediately. That's right. However, taming them is also a big problem. Huang Yingying frowned. Sima Yue's mental strength was very strong, this was something everyone knew. However, she had spent so much effort to tame them. Wouldn't it be even harder if she met a stronger one? Furthermore, they could only be tamed with the Imperial Beast art. There weren't many beast tamers who knew about the Imperial Beast art. I think we can find a few more beast tamers in the family to learn the Imperial Beast art. We just have to make them swear to be loyal to the family forever and not spread this news. Sima Yue said. Now that things have come to this, we can only do this. Sima Hishun sighed helplessly. This was the first time they felt that they had so many treasures that they were powerless. Great-grandfather, Lingyu and I can tame some, the rest will depend on you guys. Sima Yue said and waved her hand. 10 ancient spirit beasts appeared in front of them. Let's try using these first. If they can't do it, I will have to spend more time to do it myself. Okay. Although Sima Zhiyuan and the others were curious about what she was going to do, they didn't force her to say anything since she didn't want to. I'll go back first. I will go into closed-door cultivation later on. You guys have to pay more attention to what's going on outside. Sima Yue said and went back to her courtyard. Wu Lingyu saw her return with a pale face and frowned unhappily. What did you do to hurt yourself again? He led her back to the house and carried her to the bed. He didn't let her lie down and just hugged her in his arms. His aura was a little cold. Chapter 1537. Sima Yue turned to her side and found a comfortable position in his arms. I'm fine, just a little tired. Wu Lingyu placed a hand on her forehead. Sima Yue felt a warm energy enter her mind, and her tiredness disappeared. You're better than pills. Sima Yue felt comfortable and snuggled into his embrace. If you do this again, I won't care about you anymore, Wu Lingyu said with a dark face. You won't abandon me? Sima Yue poked his chin and asked, when are you going back? If the people from the Sage Pavilion did not come out as a survivor, he had to go back and give them an explanation. If they were still alive, they should have already returned. He had to go back and take a look. Although she didn't want him to leave, it couldn't be delayed. I'll go back once I'm sure you're okay, Wu Lingyu said. I'm fine. It's just that the taming this time was a little difficult. But in the end it still couldn't defeat me. Sima Yue said, I realize that taming ancient spirit beasts gives me more power. If I can tame all of them, I might be able to level up. Then you don't have to do anything for the next few years, Wu Lingyu said. That's true. Sima Yue was a little listless. But I still have to tame those spirit beasts as soon as possible to increase the strength of my family. I knew you would take responsibility for this matter. Wu Lingyu pinched her face. She was a little unhappy that she did this. It's beneficial to me anyway. Sima Yue explained, I can obtain the spiritual energy from the ancient times and increase my mental strength, so the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. You can build your strength slowly. If you hurt your foundation, it will affect your future progress, Wu Lingyu warned. I know, so although I want to, I don't really intend to take on all of this. Sima Yue went along with his words. I'll ask my great-grandfather to train more beast tamers and try to solve this problem within 2 years. 2 years. He definitely couldn't stay for that long, but he still tried his best to help her relieve some of her pressure. When you've rested enough, we'll go to the spirit pagoda and tame those spirit beasts together. Really? Sima Yue immediately stood up and knelt beside the bed. She wrapped her arms around his neck and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. I knew you were the best. He was so strong, and his understanding of the imperial beast art was unparalleled. With his help, this would be a piece of cake. Wu Lingyu clasped her head and ruthlessly plundered her beautiful lips. Reward. He licked his lips. Sima Yue's lips were red and swollen after being bitten by him. How can you be like this? She pouted her red lips and glared at him. If you tame one in the future, I'll give you a reward. Wu Lingyu ignored her small protest. Pervert. Sima Yue stretched out her hand to poke him, but he grabbed her arm. With a slight tug, she fell back into his embrace. You've already called me a pervert. If I don't act like a pervert, how can I face you? Wu Lingyu leaned over and first lingered on her lips for a while, then moved down to the side of her face and bit her earlobe. This was the first time he kissed a place other than her lips. That warm breath lingered around her ear, causing her entire body to tremble. It was as if something was messing around in her body and wanted to burst out. Her arms around Wu Lingyu's neck unconsciously tightened, causing their bodies to be even closer. Every cell in Wu Lingyu's body was excited by her reaction. It was as if his body had been imprisoned and he wanted to be released. Sima Yue felt something pressing against her, and her face turned even redder. Don't? She protested in a small voice, but when that soft voice fell into his ears, it sounded more like an invitation. At this moment he wished that he had already married her and could completely possess her beauty, instead of being unable to get what he wanted. He let go of her, and her face was already as red as a cooked shrimp. That shy look made his body tremble uncontrollably. He buried his head in her neck and said in a muffled voice, Why don't we get married earlier? Sima Yue was stunned. Get married earlier? Although she also wanted to marry him, she had never thought of getting married before finding her mother. Wu Lingyu felt the change in her and said, Forget it, I was just casually saying it. You rest first, I'll leave for a while. He put her on the bed. Where are you going? Sima Yue held his hand, afraid that he would be angry, and said, I just feel that my mother is still here. I can't imagine her suffering while I get married. Wu Lingyu patted her hand and said, I'm just going out for a walk and arrange some things on the way. If I stay here any longer, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself. You're not angry? No. Wu Lingyu sat back and kissed her forehead. I understand how you feel and I respect your thoughts. So, what I can do now is to speed up the process in the ghost realm and rescue your mother as soon as possible. When I find your mother, I'll ask for your hand in marriage or marry into her family. Sima Yue saw him like that and laughed, saying, Then you can go. Her smiling eyes reflected his awkwardness. He pinched her nose and got up to leave. Sima Yue looked at his back and the smile on her lips grew wider. Thinking of her reaction just now, she grabbed the blanket and covered her head. After a while, 2 giggles came out from under the blanket. Wu Lingyu left her courtyard and found a secluded place to contact his people. Master, how's the situation at the Sage Pavilion? Wu Lingyu asked. None of the people we sent to the ancient mines have returned. The pavilion master and the rest are throwing a tantrum. What a bunch of trash. None of them survived. Wu Lingyu snorted, Send the news back. Say that I'm trapped in the ancient mines. Yes, master. After that, he contacted the other people and asked them to arrange things in the ghost realm. He had to find Ukuluo as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be too difficult for him to hold it in. Although his body had calmed down, his heart was still rippling. After waiting for a while he went back. At this moment, Sima Qing was invited to the beast-taming ground and saw the stone statues, as well as the ancient spirit beasts lying on the ground listlessly. These were brought back by Yue? Sima Qing asked. Yes. Yue said that she has 1,000 or 2,000 of them. These are just for us to practice on. Sima Zhiyuan was very obedient in front of Sima Qing. Thinking that these were brought back by his granddaughter, his face broke into a smile. Chapter 1538. Sima Qing's face was also filled with uncontrollable happiness, but at the same time he felt a little sad. They had been working hard to develop the family's strength for so many years, putting in so much effort, but there were still no obvious results. Sima Yue had only returned for 2 years, but she had already brought about such drastic changes to the family. The family's strength was getting stronger day by day, and the revival was right in front of them. With such a comparison they had wasted all these years. Old ancestor, we don't have to be sad. This can only mean that our luck is not enough, and is not enough to develop the Sima family. But luck is determined by the heavens, we don't have to worry about this. Sima Hishun said. No matter whose credit it is, it's good that the family is developing. Sima Zhiyuan said with a smile. He was a little sad at first, but after thinking about it, Yue was his great-granddaughter. What was the difference if she brought the family back to glory? Let's suppress this news first. If others find out, it will lead to the destruction of the family. Sigh, this little fellow came back with all kinds of treasures. Sima Qing sighed. Then we won't let the clansmen contract this one for now? Let's wait until we tame a few more. If it's like this little fellow said, and this isn't considered powerful, then we'll find clansmen with average talent to contract. Yes. After that, the family's beast tamers were all called to the beast taming ground. That ancient spirit beast had long been locked up somewhere else. The Sima family had more than 50 beast tamers, which was considered quite a lot. A normal power would have around 30 to 40. Among them, 5 or 6 had already sworn an oath, obtained the imperial beast art, and had some small achievements. Clan leader, why did you call all of us here? Someone asked. Yes. Sima Zhiyuan looked at them and said, only half of you are disciples of the family, the rest were recruited from outside. Although this is the case, we have never treated you as outsiders. We have always been grateful to the clan leader for his kindness. A few people said. Sima Zhiyuan nodded and said, now there is a huge opportunity in front of you, waiting for you to make a decision. What? Because this is too important, I need all of you to swear that you will never spread this out, and will never do anything to betray the Sima family. You will always be loyal to the Sima family. Sima Zhiyuan said, of course you're free to do so. You can choose not to swear, but if that's the case, we can't continue to keep you in the clan. However, we can recommend you to other families or forces. Patriarch, we are willing to swear. The members of the Sima family were the first to express their stance. They were originally members of the family, so even if they swore an oath, it wouldn't change anything. Those who were not from the Sima family were a little hesitant. At most, they were considered guests, not members of the Sima family. However, once they took the oath, they would be considered as members of the Sima family. Although the Sima family had treated them well all these years, it was not enough to tie them up here. Moreover, he didn't know if the opportunity he was talking about was a real opportunity. Thus, after thinking for a while, four beast tamers stood out and expressed their willingness to leave. 2 of them chose to leave on their own, while the other 2 chose to let the Sima family recommend them. These 4 beast tamers were taken away, and when the Sima family's imperial beast art was known to the world many years later, they would regret it so much that their intestines would turn green and they would slap themselves a few times. Why didn't they choose to believe in the Sima family back then? Since you all chose to stay and are loyal to the Sima family, then the Sima family will not disappoint you. You will definitely be happy with your decision in a while. Sima Zhiyuan said. One by one, even the beast tamers from the Sima family swore that they would never do anything to harm the Sima family in the future, and would never spread this news, and would always be loyal to the Sima family. After all of them swore their oaths, Sima Zhiyuan asked, as beast tamers, do you know what the most powerful imperial beast art is? Of course we do. There are all kinds of imperial beast art circulating now, but the most powerful imperial beast art is naturally the long-lost imperial beast art. An older beast tamer replied. Then do you know what advantages this imperial beast art has compared to other imperial beast arts? Sima Zhiyuan asked again. What advantages? Everyone was stunned. Clan leader, we have never seen the Imperial Beast art before. It should be said that no one in this world has come into contact with it, and we only know that the Imperial Beast art is in ancient books. But the ancient books did not record its advantages. As beast tamers, you need to spend a lot of time and energy training your mental strength, and often have no time to cultivate your spirit energy. So, your personal strength is much lower than the average spirit master. Sima Ji Yuan said. Clan leader, this is a weakness that every profession has. Someone explained, thinking that he was looking down on them for being weak. I'm not looking down on you. Sima Ji Yuan waved his hand, stopping them from speaking, saying, have you thought about it? If there is a day when you can obtain spirit energy while taming spirit beasts, what would that be like? How is that possible? The beast tamers cried out one after another. If there was such a technique, how could their beast tamers be so weak? What if it is possible? Sima Ji Yuan asked. Clan leader, are you saying that the Imperial Beast art has such an effect? Someone asked. If it is the Imperial Beast art, then it is really possible. But the Imperial Beast art has been lost for hundreds of thousands of years. It is indeed the Imperial Beast art. Sima Ji Yuan said, using the Imperial Beast art to tame spirit beasts, not only can you obtain spirit energy, when a tamed spirit beast contracts with a human, both parties can advance in rank. What? The beast tamers were even more shocked. They could advance in rank through contracts? As expected of the Imperial Beast art. Someone sighed. Clan leader, you mentioned the Imperial Beast art, is it because you know where it is? Sima Ji Yuan took out a few stone rubbing and handed it to every beast tamer, saying, check it with your divine senses. Some of them had already thought of it, but when they saw the Imperial Beast art personally, they were still shocked beyond words. Clan leader, this is really... Their hands holding the stone rubbing were trembling. That's right. This is the Imperial Beast art. Sima Ji Yuan saw that they were so excited and his heart finally calmed down. He knew that these people would be even more shocked than he was back then. This is for us to study? Of course, otherwise why would I make you swear an oath just now? Sima Ji Yuan said, for safety reasons you can only study here and are not allowed to bring the stone rubbing out. We have already prepared rooms for you. Do you have any objections? Chapter 1539. Objection? What objections could they have? As long as they could learn the Imperial Beast art, even if they were imprisoned here, they were willing to do anything. He really didn't expect that the opportunity the family head was talking about was actually this. If those beast tamers who left knew about this, would they still be so determined to leave? We will learn this art of taming beasts as soon as possible and contribute to the revival of our family. The beast tamers expressed their opinions one after another. I believe that with you guys, the Sima family will definitely be able to develop even faster. Sima Ji Yuan said. Thank you for your trust, Patriarch. Alright, there's something different about the Imperial Beast art. Do you know about it? Sima Ji Yuan asked. We don't know. The Imperial Beast art can also tame ancient spirit beasts. Sima Ji Yuan said. Now that an ancient spiritual beast has appeared, if I can tame one, my life would not have been in vain. They had also heard about the ancient mining area and had gathered together to discuss it before. However, at that time they could only dream about it. After all, without a good beast-taming technique, how could they dare to tame an ancient spirit beast? Who would have thought that in just a few days, everything would become possible? Then you guys have to work even harder. The ancient spirit beasts have already been prepared for you guys, we're just waiting for you guys to master this. Sima Ji Yuan said. Patriarch, is what you said true? Sima Ji Yuan stood up and said, come with me. He opened the door to a secret room and led the beast tamers inside. When the beast tamers entered, the first thing they saw was a cage in the middle of the room. A tamed spirit beast was lying on the ground. That aura was that of an ancient spiritual beast. Family head, is this an ancient spiritual beast? Who tamed it? Yue. Heavens, it's actually little miss? She's still so young. The tamers did not expect Sima Yue. She was still so young. She was the one who brought back the Imperial Beast art. Sima Ji Yuan raised his chin proudly. Those were also brought back by her. Everyone looked in the direction of his hand. Hidden in the darkness were dozens of stone statues. This ancient spiritual beast came from the stone statue. We will reduce the mental strength of the ancient spirit beast to the lowest level and leave the rest to you guys. Sima Ji Yuan said, so, you guys have to learn the Imperial Beast art as soon as possible. Patriarch, I want to go into seclusion to study. Me too. Patriarch, we don't have any spirit beast to tame right now. Why don't we let everyone go into seclusion to learn? Patriarch, please agree. Sima Zhiyuan saw that they were so enthusiastic, how could he not agree? He said, since that's the case, then you guys should go into seclusion. Learn the art of taming beast first, and there will be cultivation methods for you to increase your spiritual power later on. Yoyue's hint is at the back of the art of taming beast. With this, I believe you'll be able to master it very quickly. When he heard that the patriarch even had annotations and cultivation techniques that could increase one's mental strength, he became even more enthusiastic. Sima Zhiyuan brought them out and each of them chose a house to enter into closed-door cultivation. It was only later that they realized that once they entered the house, the stone rubbing could not be taken out. Every time they went out, they could only leave the stone rubbing in the house. Those who studied the art of taming beast were rather depressed. Without Sima Yoyue's annotations, they took many detours. They had seen this annotation before. If it had been there from the start, they wouldn't have needed 2 years. 2 months would have been enough. Sima Ji left the beast taming ground. The more he thought about it, the happier he became. He couldn't help but hum a little tune. Sima Yue didn't know about the beast taming ground, but she could roughly guess what her great-grandfather would do. If giving the art of taming beasts to these people could make the family stronger, it would be right for the family. Because she was a little tired, after Wu Lingyu left, she fell into a deep sleep. When she woke up, she heard Siyu teasing Mu Si and Mu Si begging for mercy. She got up and went out. She saw Siyu pulling Mu Si's ear. She leaned against the door and said, "Siyu, don't bully my disciple." Siyu let go of Mu Si and snorted, "If this fellow doesn't want me to look for you, he should be taught a good lesson." "I'm resting." "Of course Mu Si won't let you in." Sima Yue said, "Come in." "I'm not going in. Let's go to the kitchen. You said you would cook for me." Siyu said. Sima Yue remembered that she said she would cook for her for a month. She turned and walked to the kitchen. Siyu giggled and followed her in. "I didn't have time to ask you before. How did you guys end up in the Sima family? I thought you guys went back to Ghost City or somewhere else to travel." Sima Yue chatted with Siyu while cooking. "That day you guys snuck away. I wanted to go in to look for you, but I was stopped by second brother and third brother. They said that I might not be able to find you even if I went in. But I was angry. Then third brother said that we should wait for you at your house. You would come back anyway." Siyu continued, "Then we played around on the way back. We just arrived not long before you came back. My grandfather and the rest let you stay and wait for me?" Mu Si recognized me the moment he saw me. He knew that we were friends. "Your family members were very friendly to us." Siyu said. "Then you're planning to stay here forever? Not going out for a walk?" Sima Yue placed the sashimi and dipping sauce in front of her. She immediately picked up her chopsticks and started eating. "We definitely have to go. But we have to eat a month's worth of good food first." Siyu continued, "Your great-grandfather said that since you call my father Godfather, then I'm also his great-granddaughter. The Sima family is my home. I can come back anytime." "Does my great-grandfather know your identity?" "He didn't say it clearly, but he should be able to guess. After all, Mu Si came from our family." "That's true." Sima Yue continued to make other dishes for her. "Will you be at home these days? If you want to go anywhere, I'll follow you." "I'll be at home. I won't go anywhere. I'll rest and recuperate." She still had so many things to do. The magical medicine was not ripe yet. She would just stay at home and raise her strength. "That." Siyu put down her chopsticks. "Do you know where Third Mo is?" Sima Yue's hand paused. She shook her head and said, "Shameless Third's whereabouts are always unpredictable. I haven't seen him since I came back from Ghost City." "I see." Siyu sounded a little disappointed. "Why are you looking for him?" "Nothing, I'm just asking." Siyu picked up her chopsticks again and started eating. Sima Yue looked at her lowered head and sighed helplessly. Siyu probably came out this time for Third Mo. However, Yue did not think that Third Mo was someone who would be moved by a girl. Or rather, he already had someone in his heart and could not fit anyone else. Siyu would probably be disappointed. Chapter 1540. Sima Yue really wanted to persuade her not to put her thoughts on Third Mo, but Siyu didn't say that she liked him, so it wasn't good for her to say it. After Siyu finished eating, Sima Yue sent her out and went to look for Sima Lu Xian. "Father, where is Master?" Sima Yue asked when she saw him reading alone in the room. "He went back." Sima Lu Xian replied without looking up. "He went back? Why did he go back?" Sima Yue cried out in surprise. "She left angrily." Sima Lu Xian raised his head. She said that she couldn't talk to me, so she left angrily. Father. Sima Yoyue's lips twitched. Why did she see a smug look in her father's eyes? Seriously, why didn't you tell me you were leaving? Now that she thought about it, she shouldn't have let them be alone. Humph, this fellow took advantage of my absence to find you and even abducted you to be his disciple. It's already good that I didn't settle the score with him. Sima Lu Xian saw his daughter's expression change, so he changed his tone. Don't worry about him. He used to be angered and left here, but he's fine now. But it's not polite, Sima Yue said. What's there to be polite about? He's used to it. Sima Lu Xian said lightly. Sima Yue pursed her lips. What a good excuse. What do you plan to do next? Sima Lu Xian obviously did not intend to dwell on Feng Zhixing's matter and changed the topic. Sima Yue told him about her harvest and her plan to tame the spirit beasts. She then said that she wanted to improve her strength. Sima Lu Xian nodded and said, this is possible. You're still young, so you should focus your energy on cultivation. You don't have to worry about the family's affairs. What you've brought them is enough for them to revitalize their family. Master, 5 years. Give me another 5 years and I will definitely help you regain your strength. Sima Yue grabbed his hand. You should know that in my eyes your safety is more important than anything else. Sima Lu Xian didn't want her to take risks for him. Father never expected you to be outstanding, I just want you to be safe. Father, don't worry. I definitely won't let anything happen to me. I haven't seen Mother yet, how could I do something stupid on impulse? Sima Yu said, I only did it because I was confident. When Father recovers his strength, we'll go find Mother and reunite with her. Speaking of looking for you, Kaluo, Sima Lu Xian's eyes flashed with helplessness and pain. How was he going to find her in this state? Sima Yu didn't want to say much either. When the time came and she healed his body, his confidence would naturally return. Father, you can continue reading. I'll go back first. She had to deal with the matter of the ancient spirit beasts as soon as possible. Go. Don't tire yourself out. I know. When she returned to her room, Wu Lingyu had already returned. When she saw him, she recalled the scene of the gunfire in the room. Her face was burning hot again. Let's go to the spirit pagoda first. She set up a spirit barrier and brought him in. Yu, why did you come in? Are you going to open the stones? Yu, you finally came in. Little Spirit kept saying that if you didn't come in, those spirit beasts would jump in by themselves. Isn't that so? Quickly open 2 stones for us to see. With the beasts together, Sima Yoyue's thoughts were quickly diluted. Those spirit beasts are coming out? Yes, if it wasn't for Little Spirit suppressing them in the spirit pagoda, I'm afraid they would have come out long ago. Let's go take a look. She and Wu Lingyu came to the place where the stone statues were piled up. Looking from afar, it was full of stones. If the people outside knew that there were so many ancient spirit beasts here, I don't know what kind of turmoil it would cause. It will come out sooner or later. Sima Yue laughed twice. These spirit beasts were mostly taken out to be contracted by the members of the Sima family. Since they were contracted beasts, they would definitely appear in front of the world in the future. However, at that time, the Sima family would no longer be a small family that could be bullied by anyone. Do you want to start? Little Spirit appeared in front of her and asked. Choose a suitable place. Sima Yue said. This place was not far from their living area. If the ancient spirit beasts were to come out and destroy this place, then she wouldn't even have a place to cry. Little Spirit naturally understood what she meant by choosing a suitable place. With a thought, they had already appeared in a desolate mountain. Sima Yue looked at the vast and boundless mountain and couldn't help but sigh. Little Spirit, the person who created you, was it really just one person? If it was just an armament master, how could he create such a divine weapon? Little Spirit ignored her and moved a few stone statues over, saying, I don't care about the rest. Sima Yue looked at the few stone statues and raised her head to look at Wu Lingyu, asking, which one do you think should be opened? Wu Lingyu didn't expect her to ask him. He casually pointed to one and said, you know that I don't know how to look at ores. That one is fine. Open this one first? Sima Yue followed his finger and looked. This fellow was casually pointing to the smallest piece. That ore was only the size of a baby's head. Although it was small, it had all the vital organs and looked somewhat like a spirit beast. She walked over and picked up the stone statue, saying, then let's open this one. This small stone statue still couldn't see the shape inside, which meant that the stone skin was still relatively thick. She took out her tools and peeled off the stone skin layer by layer. Very quickly, the outer stone skin was peeled off by her and only the last layer was left. Sima Yue looked at the last layer and blinked her eyes. She said uncertainly, Lingyu, why do I feel that this fellow is a little similar to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior? With only the last layer of stone skin left, the spirit beast inside could be roughly seen. Wu Lingyu looked at the small stone statue in her hand and also felt that it was a little similar to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. Could this also be a human-faced ape? He squatted beside Sima Yue and stretched out his hand to poke at the stone statue. Sima Yue didn't dare to make the final cut. If it really was a human-faced ape, how would she deal with it? Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was so powerful. If he knew that one of his clansmen had fallen into the hands of a human, she didn't know if he would directly step on her and turn her into a biscuit. However, they were already at the last step. Could it be that they were going to give up just like that? And it was so small, it looked so cute. If you want to open it, then open it. Wu Lingyu's voice was very soft, but it gave her endless strength. It made her understand that no matter what happened, he would settle it for her. Sima Yue let out a long sigh. The knife in her hand peeled off the last layer of stone skin, revealing the small human-faced ape inside. Chapter 1541. Sima Yue looked at the palm-sized human-faced ape and smiled bitterly. His luck was really terrible. That little guy seemed to have been sealed as soon as it was born. Its entire body was still soft. It laid in Sima Yue's hands with its eyes closed. It was quiet and peaceful, different from Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior who was filled with killing intent. The little guy slowly opened his eyes and saw Sima Yue's delicate face. Seeing her frown, the little fellow actually opened his mouth and smiled at her. When it smiled, Sima Yue's thoughts froze. Mother? Not only did the little girl laugh, but she also said something that almost made Sima Yue faint. Mother, mother? How did she look like a human-faced ape? Not only did her face darken, but Wu Lingyu's face also darkened. This little guy actually called her mother? Only his son could call her mother? Seeing that this little fellow was not pleasing to the eye, he would not be soft-hearted. He grabbed its little paw and casually threw it away. Sima Yue did not expect Wu Lingyu to suddenly move. She instinctively reached out to grab him, but she could not catch up with his speed. She watched as the little guy disappeared in front of her eyes. Little spirit. Sima Yue hurriedly called out. With little spirit around, the little guy would not lose his life. She turned around and glared at him. What are you doing? It's still so small. Only our children can call you mother. Wu Lingyu proudly raised her small chin. Beth. Sima Yue laughed out loud and stretched out her hand to poke his head. That's just a spirit beast. Why are you bickering with it? Not even spirit beast. I thought he was similar to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior and would be similar to him. Who knew that he would look so cute and not have any evil aura? Sima Yue didn't want to argue with him about this and changed the topic to the little guy. Don't be fooled by its appearance. Wu Lingyu snorted. Sima Yue did not understand what he meant. Mother, mother? The little guy's voice came from afar. It was very fast, like a gust of wind. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of them. The moment before it entered Sima Yue, Wu Lingyu quickly caught it. Mother, mother? The little guy was in Wu Lingyu's hands and could not struggle, and looked at her with tearful eyes. I'm not your mother. Mother. Sima Yue yelled. Mother? Yue said. Mother's smell? Yue's mother's mother? Wu Lingyu said. However, its words made Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu frown. Sima Yue saw its tears and her heart softened. She took it from Wu Lingyu's hands and stroked its back. She comforted it. What smell are you talking about? Mother's smell. Mother's smell is mother. Yue slowly calmed down under her comforting words. It nestled in her arms and seemed to be upset that she did not recognize it. Wu Lingyu and Sima Yue both frowned. Spirit beasts had a very sensitive sense of smell. Since it said that it smelled the same, it must be right. However, this little guy was born from in or hundreds of millions of years ago. How could Sima Yue be the person it was talking about? Do you have a name? She did not rush to deny it. Yes, mother named me. Mother has forgotten Xiaoxi's name. Yue was very unhappy. You're saying that your mother and I smell the same? Sima Yue asked again. Mother, you are mother. Yue panicked and grabbed her finger. Last time, mother also said that you weren't mother. This time, you're saying that mother doesn't like Xiaoxi and doesn't want me anymore? As he said that, his tears fell again. Sima Yue looked at its tearful accusation and her heart softened again. Seeing him like this, I reckon that there used to be someone who looked like me. Their aura is also similar, so. She looked at Yue and felt helpless in her heart. From Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's reaction that day, this might be the truth. Wu Lingyu said. Mother, where is father? Xiao Shi heard Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's name and raised his head to ask. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior is your father? Sima Yue pursed her lips, hoping that she would hear a negative answer. However, Yue did not see her expectant gaze. It nodded and said excitedly, that's right, that's right. Mother, have you seen father? I've seen him. Sima Yue was a little speechless. If Xiao Shi was Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's child and he found out that she had captured Xiao Shi, wouldn't he turn the Sima family upside down? Mother, where is father? Yue missed its father very much. In a place very far away. Sima Yue patted its little head. Are you looking for your father? I'll send you over, okay? Yue immediately sensed her intentions and looked at her vigilantly, saying, Mother, are you thinking of abandoning me again? Sima Yue saw the pain in its eyes as if it had been abandoned. She felt sorry for it and her gaze softened. Your father isn't here. Don't you want to see father? You can see him if I send you over. Then I won't be able to see mother? Yue carefully looked at her. Sima Yue nodded. I don't want father anymore. I want to follow mother. You can't leave like that again. Yue grabbed onto her fingers and didn't let go. But I still have things to do. Sima Yue said, your father will be very worried if he doesn't see you. Mother, are you going to raise your cultivation? Yue looked at her. It's so strange. Mother, why are you so weak now? Even Xiao Shi can defeat you. Sima Yue pursed her lips. Why did everyone despise her for being weak? Xiao Shi, do you really want to stay by my side? Although we don't know where your father is, if we think of a way we can still find him. She still wanted to persuade it. Who knew that Yue would sit on her palm and swish its little tail, saying, Father is so powerful, he doesn't need me to follow him anymore. I'll stay by mother's side and can protect mother. I won't let you be harmed by evil people. Yue's eyes turned red when it said this. Sima Yue connected the dots and guessed that the girl who looked like her must have been mistaken for mother by Yue. She even gave it the name Xiao Shi. However, she left it behind and was killed in the end. Yue was very cute and Sima Yue felt a sense of familiarity towards it. However, leaving it by her side was a huge risk. If your father knows that you're here with me, I don't know if he'll kill me. Mother, don't worry. Father will never kill you. Yue didn't really understand what Sima Yue meant, but it knew how father felt about mother. Chapter 1542. Little Lucky said it with certainty, as if he was certain that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior would not kill him. Sima Yue understood that it definitely had a lot to do with that woman from before. Little Lucky said it like that, but she could not put her heart at ease. What if this Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior felt that she had done something to his son and became enraged and attacked her? Mother, why did the contracted beasts by your side change so much? Little Lucky did not know Sima Yue's worries. Seeing that she did not say anything, he assumed that she had agreed. Seeing the spirit beasts running over from behind, he asked, Oh, then do you remember which ones you had in the past? Sima Yue tried to get information from him. Little Lucky pointed at Thousand Resonance and said, How did this little fox turn into 8 tails? Where's the other tail? Sima Yue was shocked. Thousand Resonance was in his human form. Normal spirit beasts would not be able to tell that he was a 9-tailed fox, or a 9-tailed fox that was missing a tail. However, Little Lucky knew it the first time he saw him. Since Little Lucky said it like that, it meant that there was a real 9-tailed spirit fox by that woman's side. Are there any more? Little Lucky crawled onto Sima Yue's palm and looked at the spirit beasts. Then he pointed at Little Roar and said, Why is this guy getting weaker and weaker? Was he very strong in the past? That's right. Little Lucky nodded. Humph, he even fought with me for food back then. Sima Yue pursed her lips and looked at Little Roar. Could it be that his clan produced creatures like him? Are there any more? She asked again. Little Lucky furrowed his brows and said, Mother, do you have any other spirit beasts? I did not see that big bird, but I can smell his aura. Also, where are the other spirit beasts? Little Lucky said. Sima Yue's heart trembled. She and Wu Lingyu looked at each other and understood each other's expressions. All the contracted beasts were here. Only Crimson Flame was not. Since Little Lucky was talking about the big bird, it was naturally him. They had the same appearance, the same aura, and the same contracted beast. Sima Yue felt a chill down her spine no matter how she thought about it. Wu Lingyu held her hand and said, You are you and she is she. Yes. Sima Yue did not want to think too much. Anyway, no matter how similar the person was, it was not her. But what should I do with this little guy? When Xiaoxi heard Sima Yue say this, he immediately looked at her with teary eyes. He looked as if he would cry if she sent him away. Wu Lingyu looked at little Lucky and thought for a while before saying, "If he wants to stay, then let him stay. That way we can take precautions in the future." Sima Yue understood what Wu Lingyu meant. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was clearly the leader of those ancient spirit beasts. Those spirit beasts that had just been born all listened to him. If the little fellow liked her, then Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior would treat her better. At least she would not have to worry that he would kill her. But we have to let him know about this. She did not think that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior would not look for his child after he came out. If she did not tell him now, he would only know when they met in the future. "I will arrange this," Wu Lingyu said. "Okay." Sima Yue smiled. With him around, she did not have to worry about anything. That was great. Because of this, Sima Yue had no choice but to push back the matter of taming the spirit beasts. If that fellow came while she was taming the spirit beasts, who knew what would happen? Just as they had guessed, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior had been looking for his son recently. It was not only him. All the ancient spirit beasts that had been born were looking for little Lucky. However, there was no news at all. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior had a bad temper to begin with. Now that he could not find his only child, he was extremely angry and became even more irritable. Today he was planning to leave the 32nd district to look for little Lucky when he suddenly felt a strange movement in the sky. It was not someone he was familiar with. Naturally, it was not one of his people who had returned. The 32nd district's environment was special. Those who could come here were definitely experts. However, he did not have any reaction. Very quickly, Wu Lingyu came out of the space and looked at Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. The two of them looked at each other. At this time, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was no longer in the form of a spirit beast. Although he had transformed into a human, his facial features were similar to his beast form. The evil aura around him did not diminish. "I remember you. You are the man beside her. What are you doing here?" Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior looked at Wu Lingyu. He did not expect that the person beside her that day would be so powerful. "I came to tell you something." Wu Lingyu was not affected by Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's aura. "What is it?" Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior did not think that a man he did not know would come to find him to say anything good. The ancient spirit beasts had just been born and there were not many of them. If the human race joined forces, it would be difficult for them to deal with them. "You don't have to be so guarded against me," Wu Lingyu said. "I don't have any thoughts about you." "Then what are you doing here?" "I came to tell you about your son's whereabouts," Wu Lingyu said. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's pupils shrank. "Where is little Lucky?" "We accidentally opened it from the ore. After knowing that it was your child, we wanted to send it back to you. However, it did not agree." Wu Lingyu thought about that little guy surrounding Yue and calling her mother. He gritted his teeth in hatred. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior immediately guessed. "It's with her?" "Yes, I came to tell you that you had better take it away yourself. Don't pester my child's mother." Of course, he did not say the last sentence. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior knew that little Lucky was by Sima Yue's side, so he naturally understood why it did not want to leave. However, how could he let go of a child that he had not seen for millions of years? He had to bring it back. Sima Yue was not the same as before. If she did not treat little Lucky well, where is she? "Come with me." Sima Yue was in her own courtyard. She was in a good mood today. Sitting in the courtyard, she played with little Lucky while checking on Musi's cultivation. It was not that she wanted to take this little guy out to show off, but it did not want to leave her at all. The moment she left, it turned the spirit pagoda upside down. Because Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was suppressing it and the little guy was small, she did not know what to do with it. In order to not destroy the spirit pagoda, she could only keep it by her side. When she asked about Musi's situation, she was still playing with the little guy. She let it grab her hair and play a game of swinging. The little guy suddenly let go and almost fell. She subconsciously reached out to catch it and then hugged it in her arms, saying, "Be careful." The little guy giggled in her arms, making Sima Yue feel helpless. It was clearly doing this on purpose. However, even if she knew when this happened a few more times, she still reached out to catch it. Feeling the strange movement in the air, she let Musi go down and then looked at the sky vigilantly. Chapter 1543. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior stayed in the space for a while. Wu Lingyu said that Xiaoxi was unwilling to leave Sima Yue. She also knew why Xiaoxi was unwilling to leave, so she wanted to see how Sima Yue would treat Xiaoxi. When he heard little Lucky's laughter and saw how happy it was playing with Sima Yue, he thought of how sad it was when that person left. He had mixed feelings. Fortunately, Sima Yue was just like that person. She treated little Lucky very well. She liked little Lucky from the bottom of her heart and not just for show. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gone to pick little Lucky up so many times. This little guy was not very old, but he was quite scheming. He was actually playing such games with him. Sima Yue did not know that he was here, but it must have sensed his presence. Did it not do that to let him know how good Sima Yue was so that he would not object to it following her? Such a mischievous brat. At this moment, little Lucky's voice was a little louder than when he first came out. He was no longer as meek as before, and his intelligence was also growing by the day. Well, at least it was clear that the woman in front of him was not his mother. However, it still liked her very much. Sima Yue hugged little Lucky and looked at the two people in the air. If not for the fact that she was not familiar with Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, she would have rolled her eyes at them. Daddy. When the little guy saw Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, he excitedly ran over. Sima Yue only saw a flash of light in front of her eyes before the little fellow climbed onto its father's shoulder. Why are you hiding up there? Seeing that Wu Lingyu was not acting strangely, she was no longer afraid of Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior wants to see how his son is doing here. Wu Lingyu said. Aren't they going to be taken away? What's there to see? Sima Yue paused after saying this. She suddenly thought that if she did not live a good life, her opponent might kill her to vent his anger. However, just as he finished speaking, little Lucky, who had been hanging onto Supreme Fifth Spirit Master's body, flashed and returned to her embrace. He grabbed her hair and said emotionally, "You said that you wouldn't abandon me if I didn't call you mother? You can't go back on your word." Sima Yue had been with the little fellow for so many days, so she had developed some feelings for it. Seeing its aggrieved look, she reached out to hug it and stroked its head, saying, "But your father came to find you. He's here to take you back. It's too dangerous here." If people knew that she had an ancient spiritual beast by her side, and that it was Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's child, she would probably be targeted by many people. No, I want to be with you. The little guy was so anxious that his tears fell again. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior had not spoken since he arrived. He had only been observing Sima Yue. Seeing this scene, it was as if he had seen the past. Back then, the little fellow had also pulled her hair like this, telling her not to leave. Unfortunately, she still left and never came back. Sima Yue was in a dilemma. Although she liked the little fella, she did not want to keep it by her side. It was too eye-catching and too dangerous. Moreover, with such a father, if something happened, he would blame her. That anger was not something she could bear. Most importantly, she had heard from Wu Lingyu that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior did not leave after coming out. Instead, he was looking for little Lucky. Because he had just come out, if he wanted to fight against humans, naturally the more ancient spiritual beasts he had, the better. Since he was willing to delay his plans and journey, it meant that this was extremely important to him. She did not think that he would leave such an important person in the care of a human he did not know. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was thinking about something. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu did not speak either. The atmosphere in the courtyard was a little strange. Just as Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was about to take the little fellow away, it suddenly turned its head and said sadly, "Father, I want mother." Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior saw its pitiful look and sighed, "If you want to stay, then stay." When he said this, little Lucky happily grabbed onto Sima Yue's hair and swung it around. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were speechless. "Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, this isn't appropriate, right?" Sima Yue said, "It's too dangerous here. Our family strength is not high. If something happens, we won't be able to protect little Lucky." "I don't need you to protect it. I know you don't have that kind of strength." Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's words were very direct. He almost said the second half of his sentence. Sima Yue was being looked down upon, but she could not refute it. Who asked her strength to be too low? She turned her gaze towards Wu Lingyu. He did not like little Lucky being by its side, so he should say something now, right? However, she didn't know what Wu Lingyu said to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, but he didn't speak up for her. Instead, he patted her head and said, "Little Lucky's strength is not bad. With him around, you'll be safer in the future." Sima Yue pursed her lips. Something was wrong, wasn't it? "Elder sister, don't be afraid. I will protect you." Little Lucky patted its chest and promised. It was no longer anxious. At this moment, its head turned around again. It knew that Sima Yue did not like it calling her mother, so it called her elder sister instead. The 2 times before were also because it was too anxious. Sima Yue looked at Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's expression and knew that this matter was settled. Her strength was too low. If she was strong, why would she need to be afraid of Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior? I still have things to do. I won't delay you and your father from catching up. After she finished speaking, she stuffed little Lucky into Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's arms and turned to leave. She could not persuade him. She also knew that he wanted her to take care of little Lucky, so her courage grew. The most important thing was that Wu Lingyu was here so she could throw a tantrum. She thought that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior would be unhappy, but she did not expect that he was not unhappy at all. Instead, he had a look of nostalgia. Father, she is mother, right? Little Lucky clung to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's body and said softly. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was startled. He then picked up the little fellow who was clinging to his body and said word by word, Auntie Yuyu is already dead. She is not Auntie Yuyu. Wah! Little Lucky immediately burst into tears. He cried very hard, unlike before when he was in front of Sima Yue. Sima Yue had just walked into the house when she heard little Lucky's cries. This was the first time she had heard little Lucky cry so sadly. She could not harden her heart and turned back, just in time to see Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior throw little Lucky away. Little Lucky, even though she knew that little Lucky was very powerful, she still subconsciously used teleportation to catch little Lucky in the air. Mother, Wu father said that mother is already dead. Little Lucky smelled a familiar scent and cried even harder. Don't cry. Let's go back to the house. Sima Yue glared at Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior and carried little Lucky back to the house. Was there a father like this? The moment he came, he made the child cry and even threw him out. When Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior saw little Lucky like this, he sighed in his heart. His face was even darker than before. Chapter 1544. Although Sima Yue was playing with little Lucky in the house, she was still paying attention to what was happening outside. With such a powerful person in their house, Sima Zhiyuan would definitely bring people over to take a look. Old ancestor Sima Qing must have been alerted as well. However, after Sima Zhiyuan came to the courtyard, he said a few words before leaving with Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior and Wu Lingyu. As for what he said after that, she did not know. After a long time, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior and Wu Lingyu returned. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior grabbed little Lucky and left. Sima Yue was stunned for a moment before she blinked and looked at Wu Lingyu, asking, He left with little Lucky? Didn't he say that he would leave him with her? She did not know if little Lucky would cry after leaving. Don't worry, he just took little Lucky to teach him. He'll be back in a while. Wu Lingyu pinched her face. He wanted to send him away before, but now he could not bear to. Women were really fickle. When Sima Yue heard that it was really a while, she went back to busy herself with her own things. 2 days later, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior sent little Lucky back. When little Lucky saw Sima Yue, he immediately ran over and clung onto her tightly, refusing to let go. You don't have to worry about your safety. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior looked at her and said this after a long time. Sima Yue understood what he meant. She guessed that he was going to send people over to protect little Lucky. Keep it a secret, I don't want others to know. Sima Yue urged. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior did not have any objections. If too many people knew, it would mean that little Lucky would be in greater danger. Actually, he had already told Sima Zhiyuan that he would send some powerful spirit beasts over. With them around, the Sima family would be indirectly protected. However, unless it was a huge matter or little Lucky was involved, those people would only take action. After that, Sima Yue asked for a way to contact him. Her motive was simple. If little Lucky was in trouble in the future, she would at least be able to contact him. You don't have to worry about that. After saying that, he opened a spatial tunnel and left without any hesitation. Sima Yue pursed her lips. This guy left so casually he didn't even look at her son. Let's go and tame those ancient spiritual beasts, Wu Lingyu said as he walked over. Sima Yue nodded. She could tell that Wu Lingyu was pressed for time as well. Xiaoxi had come out of the spirit pagoda in the first place, so he didn't hide the fact that he had gone inside. Afterwards, Sima Yue realized how wise it was to keep Xiaoxi. Sima Yue released another spirit beast for Wu Lingyu to tame. After Little Seven and the others learned it, they took over the job of opening the stone. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu tamed them together. With Sima Yue's current strength, taming ancient spiritual beasts was already quite difficult. If she met another powerful spirit beast, she wouldn't be able to handle it. Once, when she was about to fail, Xiaoxi, who had been hanging on her body, roared twice at the spirit beast. That spirit beast immediately gave up and was successfully tamed by her. Once or twice, Sima Yue treated it as a coincidence. However, after a few times, Sima Yue understood that these spirit beasts were all afraid of Xiao Shi, even if it was just a very very small fellow. After that, Sima Yue asked Xiao Shi to help her by roaring twice every time before taming them. Those spirit beasts were already half dead before they were sent to Sima Yue. Now that Xiao Shi was suppressing them, Sima Yue's taming went very smoothly every time. Furthermore, she saved half the time and almost caught up to Wu Lingyu's speed. The two of them tamed a spirit beast every 2 days, then rested for a day before taming them again. These days were a bit boring, but they were in a hurry, so the two of them didn't say anything. After spending more than 4 years in the Spirit Pagoda, less than half a year in the outside world, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu had already tamed 3,000 ancient spiritual beasts. There were still many spirit beasts in the Spirit Pagoda that hadn't been tamed, but Sima Yue felt that there was no need to rush. Furthermore, Wu Lingyu was about to leave, so she could slowly tame them when she had the time. After all these years of taming, her strength had increased by a lot. She advanced the moment she went out. This speed shocked the Sima family. However, those beast tamers knew what was going on. Their young miss must have obtained her strength from taming spirit beasts. After such a long time, they had already started taming ancient spiritual beasts. Naturally, they understood how powerful the imperial beast art was. When they thought about how Sima Yue had actually given such a powerful spiritual technique to her family, they were filled with admiration for her. When they thought about how Sima Yue advanced again so quickly, they were filled with anticipation for their own future. The higher their cultivation, the longer their lifespan. With this, they wouldn't have to worry about their lifespan. The lightning tribulation this time was just a formality. Sima Yue returned unscathed. When she returned, she saw Wu Lingyu waiting for her in the courtyard. "You're leaving?" When she saw his eyes, she understood what he wanted to say. "Yes. This time I might take a long time before coming back," Wu Lingyu said reluctantly. "Get someone to send me news from time to time." Sima Yue walked over and leaned into his embrace. Wu Lingyu hugged her and kissed her forehead. "This time when I go back, I will get the godly medicine." Sima Yue believed in his ability, but she was still worried about his safety. "Be careful. Don't worry. Remember, when I'm not around, don't get close to other men, okay? Your family's brats are not allowed to enter the courtyard." "Got it?" The two of them were lovey-dovey for a while. When they felt a change in space, Wu Lingyu had no choice but to let her go and leave. Sima Yue saw the space tunnel close and felt a little disappointed. After this farewell, she didn't know when she would be able to see him again. After feeling sad for a while, she shook her head and kept her emotions in check. She went to look for Sima Jiyuan. Siyu and the Xi family left. Of course, it was only after Sima Yue took the time to cook for her for a month. Sima Jiyuan and Sima Hishun had just returned from the beast taming grounds when they heard the guards say that Sima Yue was here. "Little Miss is here? Let her in quickly," Sima Jiyuan ordered. Then he turned to Sima Hishun and said, "This girl is finally out. This girl won't come over for no reason. Now that she's here, it must be something good." Sima Hishun's face was full of smiles when he talked about Sima Yue. Sima Yue saw the two of them and bowed. Then she went straight to the point and said, "Great-grandfather, great-uncle, Lingyu and I have tamed some spirit beasts during these few months of closed-door cultivation. We can choose some people to form contracts with. Some of them are not bad. We can let Xi and Shu and the others form contracts with them." "Really? This matter has to be kept a secret. Let's do it at the back of the mountain. After forming a contract, many people might advance in rank. If 1 or 2 people advanced in rank, it wouldn't be a big deal. But if a large number of people advanced in rank, it would definitely attract attention if outsiders knew about it." Chapter 1545. The spirit beast that Sima Yue had tamed previously, Sima Jiyuan and the others had not allowed anyone to form a contract with it. The spirit beast that the beast tamer masters had tamed later was also locked up in the beast taming grounds and had not allowed anyone to form a contract with it. Therefore, although they had heard from her that contracts could allow one to advance in rank, they had never seen it with their own eyes. However, when she made this request, they also felt that it was better to be careful. It was better for the Sima family not to attract attention. "How many spirit beasts do you have now?" 300. Sima Yue thought for a while and said a safer number. However, even with that being the case, the two of them were still scared witless. 305 months, that would be 60 in a month. "Lingyu and I tamed it together. He's much faster than me," Sima Yue said. As for how much faster, you can guess for yourselves. I'll go and instruct them to pick some people to go to the back of the mountain. Sima Zhiyuan said. I'll head over first. Sima Yue was not unfamiliar with the back of the mountain. The first time she received the inheritance, she was struck by lightning. She came to a hilltop where she could see the Sima family's courtyard. What are you thinking about? Sima Qing appeared beside her and asked when he saw her in a daze. I'm thinking about how glorious the Sima family was back then. Sima Yue stood up and bowed to Sima Qing. We can't see or imagine the glory of the past. However, we can foresee the glory in the future. Sima Qing looked at her with a smile. Sima Yue naturally understood what he meant. A taming beast art, a complete fusion spiritual technique, thousands of ancient spirit beasts, and the first half of the soul refining art that Sima Yue had given him, which could increase a spirit master's mental strength. If all of this was not enough to make the Sima family rise, then all of the younger generations would have to commit suicide as an apology. Ancestor, what are you doing here instead of cultivating in seclusion? Let's take a look at the beginning of our rise. Isn't it just a contract? I didn't have to trouble you personally. It means a lot. Sima Yue pursed her lips. This was indeed a symbol of the rise of the Sima family. Yes, it was significant. She had already released the contracted beast she had prepared. At this moment, the mountain stream was filled with black spirit beasts. When Sima Zhiyuan brought his family's disciples over and saw those spirit beasts, they were all stunned. Knowing about it was one thing, but seeing it was a completely different feeling. Yue, are these all ancient spiritual beasts? Sima Chi was familiar with Sima Yue. Seeing that she was here, she ran over and asked. Yes, go and choose one you like. Sima Yue said with a smile. All right. No one was unhappy with Sima Yue's words. These were all brought back by Sima Yue and everyone was very grateful. You guys can go and choose yourselves. Sima Zhiyuan instructed and everyone happily went to choose their own contracted beasts. In this half a year, they had been using the soul training art that Sima Yue had given them to cultivate their souls. Their consciousness had also become much stronger, so contracting another spirit beast was not a problem. Very quickly, everyone had chosen their own spirit beasts. Sima Zhiyuan allowed them to contract their own spirit beasts while they watched from the side. With the ancestor around, they did not have to worry about anyone doing anything bad during the contract, so they all began to contract on the spot. The beast tamers also came. They wanted to see the legendary miracle with their own eyes. The contract was completed very quickly. When the light of the contract entered the bodies of the people and the contracted beasts, they were enveloped by the light of advancement. Some advanced by 1 level, some advanced by 2. It's really like this. The beast tamers were excited. These contracted beasts would really advance in rank. Not to mention other things, their contracted spirit beasts would definitely be more powerful than their peers. Sima Zhiyuan and the others were also excited. Don't rely on this too much. Your own cultivation is the most important. They were able to advance so much because they had never experienced such a thing before. Once their bodies gained strength, they would advance by leaps and bounds. Also, ancient spirit beasts are very powerful, which is why their strength is so great. If it was a normal spirit beast, it might not have such an effect. Sima Yue poured cold water on them. That's not bad either. Sima Zhiyuan said with a smile. Think about it, the younger generation with the same talent would definitely have similar cultivation levels. But if their family's younger generation could advance in rank during the contract, compared to their peers, they would definitely have an advantage, right? The light of advancement shone one after another, illuminating the entire mountain stream. In the light, they seemed to see the prosperity of their family. After the advancement ended for a while, everyone finally recovered from their shock and were all overjoyed. They had never heard that this contract could allow humans and spirit beasts to advance in rank. Sima Zhiyuan did not tell them at the beginning because he had never seen the advancement of a contract with his own eyes. Although Sima Yue guaranteed that it would happen, what if it happened? Wouldn't they be happy for nothing? That was why the family did not know about the advancement of a contract. Sima Yue saw that things were more or less settled and said to Sima Zhiyuan, "Great-grandfather, I will send over some tame spirit beasts in a few months. When that time comes, you can let people contract them like you did today. I'm not out of seclusion, don't let anyone disturb me." Okay. Sima Zhiyuan also knew the difficulty of taming spirit beasts and instructed everyone not to disturb her. Then I'll take my leave first. Sima Yue turned and left the mountain after she finished speaking. This girl, really? These people had obtained ancient spirit beasts and advanced in rank. They would definitely be grateful to her. but she just walked away. This child has a good temperament. After that, Sima Yue remained in seclusion. But she was not in seclusion to tame spirit beasts. Instead, she was researching medicine, alchemy and weapon refining. She waited for half a year before she came out and brought out a few hundred tamed spirit beasts. She did not care about how the spirit beasts were distributed after that. She just gave them to them and left, saying that she was going back to continue taming them. 2.5 years had passed. Including the ones that Sima Yue had tamed and those that the beast tamer masters had tamed, the Sima family had a total of over 3,000 ancient spirit beasts. The core family members, regardless of their strength, had all received one. And this had greatly exceeded their expectations. Not to mention that they had even received some stone statues that had not been opened yet. This girl, don't tell me that she has taken down the entire mine? Sima Yishun sighed. Even if she didn't, it should be close. Sima Zhiyuan said proudly. 5 years. It had only been 5 years since Sima Yue had returned to the family. To others, this was just an instant, but the Sima family had undergone earth-shattering changes. It was just that they were still keeping a low profile and no one knew that they had quietly risen. At this time, a guard reported from outside, "Patriarch, the He family's patriarch and madam are here. They say that they want to see young Mississippi." Chapter 1546. Yi Zhenjiang and Su Lunyan wanted to meet Sima Yue? Sima Zhiyuan and Sima Yishun knew that Sima Yue had a good relationship with the He clan, but since they had come to look for her personally, something must have happened. Bring Master He and Madame He to the living room and send someone to invite Yue. Although they were here to look for Sima Yue, the family head was not a small force. Naturally, they had to welcome him. Sima Yue heard the commotion in the spirit pagoda. When she came out, she heard that He Zhenjiang had brought his wife to look for her. Got it? I'll be there in a bit. Sima Yue nodded at the guard. She closed the door and entered the spirit pagoda. When she came out again, she looked completely different. When she went to the living room, Sima Zhiyuan was entertaining He Zhenjiang and Su Lunyan. Seeing Sima Yue enter, Su Lunyan smiled at her and said, "It's been a few years since we last met. This girl has become even more powerful." Great-grandfather, Uncle He, Aunt He. Sima Yue bowed to the three of them before sitting down beside Su Lunyan. "Yue, thank you for Su Yu's matter," Su Lunyan said gratefully. She had already heard from her family that Sima Yue had asked Feng Zhixing to save Su Yu and the Su family. If it wasn't for them, it would have been very difficult for Su Yu to return alive this time. "It's just a small matter. Besides, it was done by my master. I didn't do much," Sima Yue said. She didn't want to get tangled up in this matter, so she asked, "I heard that Uncle He came to find me. Is there something you need?" "I do have something to tell you." He Zhenjiang took out a box and passed it to Sima Yue. Sima Yue opened the box and saw some information inside. She took it out and looked at it. She said in shock, "They're already so rampant?" Yi Zhenjiang nodded. "Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten so much information. What are you guys talking about?" Sima Zhiyuan had asked He Zhenjiang a few times just now, but He Zhenjiang didn't tell him anything, but told his great-granddaughter. He seriously suspected that this guy would sell Sima Yue out. Sima Yue then recalled that the Sima family did not know about the undead, so she explained the whole story. Sima Zhiyuan's face darkened when he heard this. Someone actually dares to raise corpses. He slammed the table with his palm. Fortunately, he didn't use too much strength, otherwise the table would be scrapped. "Great-grandfather, take a look at this, and then let great-granduncle and the elders come over to discuss this matter." Sima Yue handed him the information in her hand and said, "It's Uncle He's first time coming to the Sima family. I'll bring them around." How could Sima Zhiyuan not know what she meant? He had to tell the Sima family about this as soon as possible. However, He Zhenjiang would definitely not be with them, so it was best to let Sima Yue take care of him. He waved his hand and said, "Just take good care of Clan Master He and Madame He." "I will." Sima Yue brought He Zhenjiang and Su Lunyan around the Sima family, then brought them to her courtyard. "Yue, why don't you discuss this matter with them?" Su Lunyan asked. "I think everyone still remembers what happened that year. They have always been wary of my mother. If they talk about the undead, they will definitely talk about the ghost aura in my body. It won't be good if they are unhappy. It's better to avoid it," Sima Yue said. Actually, she was thinking too much about this matter. The Sima family worshipped her now, so why would they care about what happened that year? "Uncle He, what do you think about the undead? You came here personally to look for me, so it shouldn't be as simple as just giving me this information, right?" Sima Yue asked. He Zhenzhang did have something to tell Sima Yue, so he didn't hesitate and said directly, I want to go to the 16th state. I wanted to ask if you want to go with me? Go to the 16th state? Yeah, the Yang family got some ores last time and suddenly had the idea of holding summer meeting. They invited many people to participate. He Zhenzhang said, the undead matter has already been confirmed to be related to them. If we go this time, it can be said to be an opportunity. Uncle He, when you were investigating the undead, were there other people investigating as well? Sima Yue asked. Yes, there were a few other forces investigating. I know that 2 of them are more powerful, and one of them even gave us some clues sometimes. He Zhenzhang felt a little uneasy when he said this. I can roughly guess who it is. Sima Yue thought of Shen Qiuhe and the corners of her lips curled up. She told him about the undead back then, but she didn't expect him to really send people to investigate after he went back. As for the other stronger force, she didn't need to think to guess that it should be the Eastern Lai family. That day the Shenqiu family and the Eastern Lai family both knew about this. How could the Eastern Lai family fall behind when the Shenqiu family sent people to investigate? The Yang family should have guessed that someone is investigating them. They actually dare to hold summer meeting at this time. I'm afraid they don't have any good intentions. Sima Yue's eyes were filled with mockery. I also think that the Yang family might make a big move, so I came to ask if you want to go. You are very sensitive to the undead. If you go, you might be able to find out more clues. However, this trip will definitely be dangerous. So if you don't go, it's fine. Let me think about this. Sima Yue didn't agree immediately. Without Wu Lingyu by her side, she wasn't powerful enough. Also, the people who participated in the meeting held by the Yang family would definitely not be ordinary forces. If things got chaotic, her safety might not be guaranteed. She still had to discuss with her father and the others. This isn't urgent. We will only set off 2 days later. What she meant was that she had 2 days. If she didn't go, they would go on their own. Before she left, Su Lunyan patted her hand and said, I don't agree with you going. It's too dangerous there. I will think about it. Sima Yue smiled at Su Lunyan. Then we will go back first. They stayed in the inn outside. If Sima Yue went to look for them 2 days later, it meant that she was willing to go with them. When Sima Yue went back, the Sima family meeting had already ended. She went to look for Sima Zhiyuan and told him about He Zhenzhang and the others. Great-grandfather, do you think I should go with Uncle He and the others? She asked. Do you want to go? Sima Zhiyuan asked her back. If you want to, of course I want to go out and take a look. However, there are so many experts outside. If I go out, it will definitely be more dangerous. She had stayed in the Sima family for 3 years and she had stayed in the Spirit Pagoda for 30 years. She really wanted to go out and see more. Chapter 1547. In the end, Sima Yue agreed to go. It was not because Sima Zhiyuan had given her the protection of the Cloud Guards, but because Sima Lu Xian had told her that she would regret it in the future if she did not do it. She didn't want to regret it. Since she wanted to go and take a look, she would go. Even if there were risks, she should be able to protect herself. If it was in the past, she would still be worried that she would bring harm to the family. However, after a few years, the Sima family had quietly risen. Over 3,000 ancient spiritual beasts were not something that 3,000 human experts could compare with. When combined, the combat power wasn't as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Instead, it was several times or more. Even if some people didn't have ancient spiritual beasts, they could still fuse with their contracted beasts better. It could be said that in just 5 years, the Sima family had grown into a force that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Yang and Su families. The Cloud Guards could be said to be the most powerful team in the Sima family. This time, the Cloud Guards were also assigned better spirit beasts for the contract with the ancient spirit beasts. Their combat ability was greatly improved. In the past, the Cloud Guards were only in charge of the family's affairs. Normally, they would only take action when the family was in trouble. If they were asked to protect a person in the past, they would definitely not agree. However, Sima Yue had done a lot for the family, and she had never done anything inappropriate in the family, so they were very grateful to her. Therefore, when they were asked to protect Sima Yue this time, everyone was eager to do it. At this moment, Sima Yue was refining pills in her spirit pagoda. Since he had decided to go out, he definitely had to prepare some good stuff. Seeing that it was about time, Sima Yue changed and came out of the spirit pagoda, then went to look for Sima Zhiyuan. Sima Zhiyuan was in the midst of a discussion with Sima Hishun and a group of elders. When he heard that Sima Yue had arrived, he immediately let her in. You're leaving? Yes. Uncle, he said that he would be leaving at noon today. Sima Yue nodded. Bring them along. If anything happens, immediately send a message to the family, Song Mingzhu instructed. I know. Sima Yue took out a thick stack of papers and asked someone to pass it to Sima Jiyuan, saying, Great-grandfather, there are a few hundred pill recipes here. I've transcribed them all. Oh, Patriarch, can you show it to me? The 10th Patriarch was an alchemist and was in charge of the Sima family's alchemy. He had long heard that Sima Yue was quite accomplished in alchemy. If she had pills that no one knew about, she would definitely have some secret pill formulas. Sima Jiyuan handed the pill recipes to him and he was extremely excited after looking at a few of them. These are all lost pill formulas. The 10th elder's hands were trembling. The people in the room were also excited. If it was a lost pill formula, it meant that the Sima family could have some achievements in the field of pills in the future. Especially that thick stack of hundreds of different types of medicinal pills. This is a pill recipe from the primordial era. The 10th elder felt as if he couldn't breathe. He couldn't continue looking at the dozen or so pictures above. Is it really an ancient pill formula? That's right, I definitely won't be mistaken. The 10th elder said, Patriarch, if our alchemist can refine these pills, our clansmen's strength will definitely increase even faster. Most of the pills that Sima Yue gave them were pills that increased their strength without much side effects. If the clansmen ate more of these, their strength would definitely increase even faster. Sima Yue didn't care about how excited the 10th elder was and took out some pills, saying, These are the tendon and marrow cleansing pills that I refined when I was free. The effects are not bad. Those in the family who are still young can give it a try. Tendon and marrow cleansing pill. She had refined it before when she obtained the golden snake fruit. Refining it again now felt so distant. Hearing about the tendon and marrow cleansing pill, everyone became even more excited. This was a pill that could change one's talent. Is this really the tendon and marrow cleansing pill? Yes. The pill formula is also in there. It's not difficult. As long as you can find the ingredients, you can refine it yourself. But because the ingredients are hard to find, it's not realistic to refine it in large quantities. But if you give it to the younger generation to eat, it will still be good for the Sima family in the future. If you have such good stuff, why did you only take it out now? Sima Jiyuan scolded her, but the smile on his face deepened. I forgot. Sima Yue retorted openly. Although this was still considered an embarrassing thing. You brat. The elders of the Sima family didn't know what to do with her. Do you have any other treasures? If you have anything for the family, give it all to them. Otherwise you won't remember it again. Sima Jiyuan said. Sima Yue thought about it. She couldn't give the book on a raise. That was something from the 100 changing doors. Although it was in her hands now, she still felt that it wasn't good to give it to the family without an agreement with the 100 changing doors. Just like the Imperial Beast art, she had also obtained Wu Lingyu's approval. She thought about it and took out a rubbing, saying, I'll give this to you too. Sima Jiyuan used his divine sense to take a look and was stunned. Sima Hishun saw his reaction and asked, What is this? Sima Yue looked at everyone present. Don't worry, those who have become elders have all sworn that they will never betray the family. Sima Hishun said. What he meant was that they would definitely not tell anyone about the family's matters. That's spirit seeking the source. I got it by accident. I rubbed a copy of it. Sima Yue replied. Pft, pft. 2 elders who were drinking tea spat it out. The others also looked at her in disbelief and shock. What did you say this was? Spirit seeking the source. You all should know about it, right? Sima Yue ignored their shocked expressions. Of course we know. You brat, what else do you not have? No wonder she knew alchemy, beast taming, spirit seeking and spirit seeking. She was one of the best in every field. Naturally, she was very powerful in every profession. Great-grandfather, great-uncle, although we have good techniques for beast taming, alchemy and spirit seeking, we can't put all of our efforts into these. Other than having strength, our own fighting ability is also very important. Sima Yue reminded. If they only had strength but no fighting ability, they would be afraid and retreat when faced with problems. That would be the biggest disadvantage. Sima Jiyuan was serious. Sima Yue was right. If that was really the case, their situation would be even more dangerous. When the treasure appeared, they would not have the strength to protect it. I will strengthen the combat training of our clansmen. I have a set of training methods here. Sima Yue had not finished speaking when the people in the house looked at her with burning eyes. This training method was given to her by Wu Lingyu. He was also the one who reminded her to do it. She believed that the clansmen who were trained by his method would not be comparable to other powers in terms of fighting ability. Chapter 1548. This time it was not Sima Zhiyuan who received the item, but Sima He-shun. After he read the training method, his expression changed again and again. "Why isn't this good?" Sima Zhiyuan asked. "No, it's fine. With this, I think their combat strength will definitely skyrocket." Sima He-shun put away the training method and added in his heart, "This method is good, but those people in the family will have to suffer." Ling Yu said that although this method is a little bitter, but if used well, you will see results in 1 or 2 years. When Sima Yu saw this training method, she couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth. Will start preparing after the meeting ends," Sima He-shun said. Although this method was a little cruel, the results of the training would definitely be very good. If Wu Lingyu were here, she would definitely give him a look of disdain. This was the method that the Devil Realm used to train soldiers. Of course it would be effective. Also, if the Sima family really wants to rise, the economy can't fall behind. In the future, when we become stronger, we will need to spend more money. If we let this drag down our rise, we can only cry. Sima Yue said. "We're also considering that. Now that we have the pill formulas that you have given us, we will first start with pills, then slowly develop other industries." Sima Zhiyuan and the others had also considered the issue of finances. Young Miss is really thoughtful about this." Someone praised. "I heard that little Miss is the Vice Valley Lord of the #1 Valley. There is no need to doubt her abilities." Sima He-shun and the rest had an idea, but before they could speak, Sima Yue spoke first. "I'm just talking, I don't care about anything in the valley." "Alright, great-grandfather, I've said everything I can. Uncle he is still waiting for me, so I'll go first." How could Sima Zhiyuan not know that she wanted to escape, but now that she didn't want to manage the family's affairs, how could he go against her wishes and let her go with a wave of his hand? After she left, someone sighed, "If we hand the clan over to the young miss, I think we can go to a higher level." This girl's heart isn't on this. She would definitely be unhappy if she had to do all this. Moreover, she has given us so many things. If the clan is still not revitalized, we don't have to go see our ancestors. Sima He-shun sighed. The great elder sighed in his heart. When he first saw Sima Yue in the Immortal Land, she was still an insignificant existence. However, at that time he knew that the revival of the family depended on her. Sima Yue left the Sima family and went directly to He Zhenjiang's inn. He Zhenjiang was stunned when he saw the group of people behind Sima Yue. "Great-grandfather said that I'm too weak and I need someone to protect me before I can go out," Sima Yue explained. He Zhenjiang glanced at Sima Yue. Yes, she was indeed not strong. "Let's go." Normally, a young lady would bring dozens of bodyguards with her when she went out. Sima Yue only brought 20 to 30 bodyguards with her, which was not considered a lot. Actually, even Sima Yue did not know that these were just bodyguards on the surface. Sima Zhiyuan had even sent people to protect her in the dark. Teleportation arrays, spatial ships, teleportation arrays again. After more than a month, they finally arrived at Lucky City where the Yang family was located. "Let's find an inn to stay in." There was still some time before the greater meeting, so there was still plenty of room in the inn. They chose an inn that was not far from the Yang family, but it was not very crowded. Sima Yue chose a room where they could see the Yang family's residence when they opened the window. "Young Miss, the Yang family's residence is really spectacular." Enlei opened the window and sighed as she looked at the Yang family's residence. The Yang family is considered a first-rate power in the inner regions. They have been around for a long time. Naturally, it is not something that the Sima family can compare to, Sima Yue said. However, this Yang family can't be compared to the hidden families, right? Why are you still so emotional? The Eastern Lai family actually does not pay much attention to these things. They are all scattered and do not gather together on such a large scale, Enlei said. At this moment, when she talked about the Eastern Lai family, she was no longer as emotional as before. "I was too busy before and did not have time to ask you properly. Enlei, what are the hidden families like?" "Actually, they are similar to these families. It's just that the places where they live are more secretive. Some even live in small realms so they are not known to the world. But from what I see, it's just that their background is slightly deeper than the average family," Enlei said. This was similar to what Sima Yue thought. After that, she asked a few more questions about the Eastern Lai family and Enlei told her everything she knew. But she did not know anything about the core matters. "Forget it, if you know too much about the Eastern Lai family's secrets, they will not be at ease letting you leave." Sima Yue was not discouraged. She understood a lot more about the hidden families from the information she got today. Miss, if you interfere in this matter, will it delay young Master He's matter? And Lei knew the importance of the miracle medicine to Sima Yue and was a little worried. No matter what happens, it will not stop me from going to the Shenqiu family. Sima Yue was not worried. With Shenqiu He's ability, even if she was not in the Sima family, he would still be able to find her. And Lei was not afraid that Shenqiu He would not be able to find Sima Yue. She was just afraid that Sima Yue would not be able to leave when the time came. But since Sima Yue said so, it meant that she had thought it through. I don't know why the undead matter has developed to such a serious extent. Sima Yue put down the book in her hand. Her gaze darkened as she thought about the news she saw earlier. In the past they were still very careful and killed in small areas. Now that they dare to do something like massacring the entire city, it means that they are very confident now. Miss, it has only been 3 years. How did they develop so quickly? It's hard to nurture a person, but it doesn't take so much time to nurture an undead, Sima Yue scoffed coldly. If a person wanted to become an expert, he would have to spend hundreds or thousands of years. But to become an undead, he only needed to kill those experts. Hence, the speed was naturally very fast. In just over 10 years, those people did not have to worry about anything. She had been in the inner region for 5 to 6 years. Before that, Su Lunyan had been in a coma for 5 to 6 years. Counting them, it was only over 10 years. Back then they had to be careful. Now they were lawless. Miss, we are not on good terms with the Yang family. It's best that you don't show yourself, and Lei reminded. Who knows what they will do to you if they know that you are here. Sima Yue nodded. You are right. Before the meeting I will disguise myself and go out. When the meeting comes, they won't dare to do anything to me so brazenly. Chapter 1549. Seeing Sima Yue's change in appearance, He Zhenjiang and the others were surprised. They knew that she had a grudge against the Yang family, so they thought it was better to do this. Unfortunately, the Yang clan was still more cautious towards their own clan. They had stayed here for more than a month, but they did not find out the relationship between the Yang clan and the undead. Over the past few days, the people who were going to participate in the Great Convention had arrived one after another. On the streets of Ji City, there were many people from other factions. Sima Yue and Enlei were walking on the streets. Little Lucky was hanging on her shoulder and swaying back and forth. He was very curious about the things around him. Miss, you won't be targeted if you bring Xiaoxi out, right? Enlei was a little worried. What can we do? This little fella really can't hold it in any longer. Sima Yue was also helpless. Little Lucky was simply unwilling to stay in the spirit pagoda. It'll be troublesome if people find out about its identity, Enlei said worriedly. That won't happen. Sima Yue had previously instructed Qi Yan to teach Little Lucky how to restrain his aura. Therefore, as long as he didn't lose control of himself in anger, no one would be able to detect his ancient aura. As for how it looked like Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, other than the people she took away that day, no one else knew. As for them, they knew how powerful Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was. Thus, they did not dare to attack Little Lucky. However, even if Xiaoxi's identity as an ancient spiritual beast would not be exposed, it would still attract a lot of trouble. Sima Yue looked at the woman in front of her and asked expressionlessly, "What's the matter?" The woman in front of him was dressed in a bright red dress and wore a bracelet on her hand. There were several bells hanging from the bracelet, and every time she raised her hand, there would be a clear ringing sound. She was originally a beauty, but the arrogance on her face ruined her beauty. Dan Yushi looked at Xiaoxi, who was perched on Sima Yue's shoulder, and said, "Miss, this little fellow is so cute. Can you sell him to me?" "I'm sorry, it's not for sale." Sima Yue wanted to walk around her, but the other party also took a step to the side. "You don't have a contract with this spirit beast, so you won't lose anything by selling it to me. I'll give you 500,000 high-grade crystals," Dan Yushi said. Because Little Lucky had restrained his aura, he had also concealed his strength. Therefore, to outsiders, Little Lucky was just a pet. Since it was a pet, 100,000 high-grade crystals were considered expensive, let alone 500,000. In the eyes of the onlookers, Sima Yue had gotten a great bargain. No. Sima Yue did not expect to encounter such a situation. Well, to be exact, it was a matter of snatching spirit beast. "You can't?" Dan Yushi thought that Sima Yue would be happy to hear her offer, but she refused. "Yes, I will sell my spirit beast. Miss, please step aside." Sima Yue said calmly. "You actually rejected my request? Do you know who I am?" Dan Yushi was stunned for a moment, then asked with a cold face. "I don't know." Sima Yue said honestly. Dan Yushi originally wanted to wait for Sima Yue to reveal her identity, then she would generously say that she only wanted her spirit beast. She did not expect her to directly say that she did not know. You really don't know? Am I supposed to know? Sima Yue took a step back and sized Dan Yushi up again. She shook her head and said, I really don't know. Dan Yushi's expression changed again and again. The servant girl at the side pointed at Sima Yue's nose and said, My lady is the cousin of the Yang family. My lady is the daughter of the third branch of the Yang family. Oh, so you are the cousin of the Yang family. I know now. Sima Yue said solemnly, but everyone could tell that she did not know who Sima Yue was. Since you know, why don't you obediently hand over your spirit beast? The servant girl raised her chin and put her hands on her waist. She was very arrogant, as if this was a gift to Sima Yue. Xiaoxi is mine. Are you trying to force a deal? Sima Yue hugged Xiaoxi. You have not contracted this spirit beast. How can you prove that it is yours? Dan Yushi said, This is clearly my lost spirit beast. You picked it up and did not return it to me. Now that I am willing to buy it back for 500,000, you are actually unwilling? Dan Yushi's voice was very loud and the people around looked over. Those who knew Dan Yushi looked at Sima Yue with sympathy. However, those who came from outside and did not know Dan Yushi, when they heard what she said, they felt that Sima Yue was too much. Sima Yue was not interested in this kind of arrogant lady. Since she knew that the Yang family was involved with the undead, she did not intend to give face to the Yang family. I have seen shameless people, but I have never seen someone as shameless as you. She laughed. Those who knew her well would know that every time she laughed, it meant that someone was going to be unlucky. You dare to scold my family's young miss? The servant girl shouted. Since you say that this little fella is yours, then you can take it. Sima Yue said as she pulled Xiaoxi, whose shoulder was injured, and threw it at Dan Yushi. Since this was a spirit beast's problem, then the spirit beast should solve it himself. Dan Yushi saw that Sima Yue gave in so easily and was very happy. She did not even think as she caught Xiaoxi. When Xiaoxi was in Dan Yushi's arms and smelled the strong fragrance on her body, it was extremely disgusted. It wanted to break free, but it did not use spiritual energy. Moreover, Dan Yushi was a body cultivator, so it was unable to break free. Since I have already given this spirit beast to you, don't bother me anymore. Sima Yue said and turned to leave. When Xiaoxi saw that Sima Yue was about to leave, it panicked. It used all its strength to break free from her arms and ran towards Sima Yue. However, when it was about to leave, it slapped Dan Yushi's face, smashing half of her face. Everyone was stunned by this unforeseen event. The spirit beast that was obediently hanging on Sima Yue's shoulder had smashed the face of a body cultivator. This person was the young miss of the Dan family, a famous tyrant in the 16th state. Ah! Dan Yushi's servant girl screamed. When she saw Dan Yushi on the ground, she was stunned and did not know what to do. Everyone regained their senses from her screams and looked in the direction that Sima Yue left, but she was no longer there. In a nearby tea house in a private room on the second floor, two people were sitting opposite each other. That feeling just now wasn't wrong, right? It was indeed the aura of an ancient spirit beast. This means that someone has already obtained an ancient spirit beast. But there is no contract. How can the current beast tamers tame an ancient spirit beast? Unless the spirit beast recognizes an owner, how can there be a contract? However, how could those ancient spirit beasts recognize an owner of their own accord? Actually, those large clans had ways to tame ancient spirit beasts. However, these were all unconventional methods and were not true taming. Chapter 1550. Dan Yushi was brought back to the Yang family. The moment she entered the Yang family, she sent someone to check on Sima Yue. Sima Yue did not transform when she went out this time. With the power of the Yang family, even if it was just a small branch, it would be easy to find her in Court City. However, this news was not immediately sent to Dan Yushi because the Yang family had previously instructed that as long as it was related to the He family, it must be reported to the upper management first. Family head, this He Xinjiang has been investigating us. Is this Sima Yue purposely released by him to cause trouble? So that we can take the initiative to get in touch with him? An elder guessed. Yang Wei had a deep impression of Sima Yue. He knew that she was not someone with a simple background and had a good relationship with those hidden families. Furthermore, he had heard that she had left the ancient mining area under the nose of the ancient spirit beast. Perhaps she had some connection with the ancient spirit beast. Master, since Sima Yue is with He Xinjiang, should we take this opportunity to get rid of them? There's no rush. Yang Wei stopped him. He Zhenjiang is already investigating the corpses. The great meeting is about to start. If this matter gets out, it will hinder our plan. This matter is over. Yes. Since the patriarch had already said so, they naturally would not pursue this matter any further. Besides, the Shan family was just a subordinate of the Yang family. There was no need to give them any face. In her own courtyard, Dan Yushi heard that even if her face recovered, it would collapse a little in the future. In other words, her face was completely ruined. She was so angry that she trembled. She wanted to catch Sima Yue and cut her into pieces. Therefore, when the Yang family's guards came to inform her of the Yang family's intentions, she was so angry that she smashed all the furnishings in the house. Sima Yue initially thought that the Yang family would find trouble with her, but after waiting for a few days there was still no news. The Yang family probably suppressed it. She guessed. What? Judging from Dan Yushi's appearance that day, she should be a very arrogant person. Such a person wouldn't let things go so easily. Lei didn't understand. Although they've borrowed the Yang family's power all these years, the greater meeting is about to begin. They're afraid that we'll expose the matter of the undead. Sima Yue said, "It doesn't matter whether we have evidence or not. The issue of the undead has been blown out of proportion all these years. If others know about it, it will only be bad for them. Young miss, I feel that the Yang family is probably planning something bad by holding this greater meeting at this time." Lei said. Uncle, he has also guessed this, but he hasn't grasped the direct connection between the Yang family and the undead. It's not good to risk the He family. If there was no evidence, no one would believe the He clan's words, and it might even lead to the Yang clan's revenge. The Yang clan was much stronger than the He clan, so He Zhenjiang didn't dare to act recklessly. Miss, do you think they will turn Yang Shi into a corpse? Lei had heard Sima Yue mention Yang Shi's matter after she came to Ji City. They won't. Sima Yue shook her head. We've seen these corpses before. Although they might not have all 4 limbs, most of their teeth are still intact. Back then, Yang Shi and the others were dismembered by the spirit beasts, so how could they still be turned into corpses? Moreover, these corpses have to be disposed of not long after they die. Yang Shi and the others were only found a few days later. It's already not bad to be able to find their bones. It's impossible to refine them into corpses. If I were Wei Shuezhu, I wouldn't want to refine her into a corpse. Lei lamented. What? A walking corpse will be very painful. Perhaps. Sima Yue laughed. It's a pity that we can't use the Scarlet Bees to scout for information this time. It'll probably be difficult to find anything. Previously, she wanted to use the Scarlet Bees to scout for information, but the undead were very sensitive to life force. Although there were no spirit energy waves, they still discovered it and killed the Scarlet Bees that were sent out. In order to make them think that it was a coincidence, she didn't send out any more Scarlet Bees. At this moment, Su Lunyan came over and knocked on her door. Uncle He, Aunt He, why are you here? Su Lunyan and He Zhenjiang entered the room. Su Lunyan was a little embarrassed and said, Yue, I have something to tell you. It was the first time Sima Yue saw Su Lunyan like this. She asked curiously, Please speak, Aunt He. We want you to participate in the great meeting. He Zhenjiang said, But if you do, you might be targeted by others. Did the investigation of the undead not go smoothly? Sima Yue asked. He Zhenjiang and Su Lunyan nodded. Sima Yue was a little hesitant. The ores that were allowed to participate in the great meeting had to be selected. But if it was too good, it would attract attention to the clan. We know that this is very dangerous, but we don't have any good ores. He Zhenjiang said. Sima Yue thought about it and said, Uncle He, if I participate in the greater meeting, it will implicate the clan. But I can give you an ore for you to participate. When He Zhenjiang heard the first part, he was a little disappointed. But when he heard the second part, he was a little surprised. That's fine too. He nodded, as long as you can enter the Yang clan. Sima Yue thought about it and took out an ancient ore. It was the size of a watermelon. There shouldn't be any ancient spirit beasts in it. I got this from the ancient mine. You should be able to enter the Yang clan with it. He Zhenjiang didn't stand on ceremony. He took the ore and said, After the greater meeting, I will give you the item. Okay. Today is the last day of registration. I will go and register first. After He Zhenjiang finished speaking, he took the ore and left. Sima Yue saw that Su Lunyan wasn't with him. She asked, Aunt He, what's the matter? It's that nephew of mine. He heard that you're here too. He wants to see you to express his gratitude. Su Lunyan said. Sima Yue wanted to go to Wu Lingyu. Before she left, she reminded her repeatedly and evaded, if you want to thank someone, you should thank my master. I didn't do anything. I just offended Miss Biao from the Yang clan. It's better for me to stay in the inn at this time. If something happens when I go out and ruin Uncle He's plans, it won't be good. How could Su Lunyan not understand her meaning? Since she didn't want to see her, then forget it. Su Yu knew that Sima Yue didn't want to see her. She was a little disappointed, but she couldn't say anything. If you want to talk to her, she will be with us during the greater meeting. I understand, Aunt. Now they could only wait for the greater meeting. Chapter 1551. 3 days later, the OR meeting was held as promised. Sima Yue followed He Zhenjiang and the others to the open-air plaza where the meeting was held early in the morning. After verifying that the OR was indeed the one that was registered that day, she let them in. After Sima Yue entered, she saw that there were already a lot of people in the plaza. She estimated that there were at least tens of thousands of people participating in this meeting. I think I can broaden my horizons this time. If Third Rascal participates. Thinking of Third Mo, who she had not contacted for many years, she was a little worried. This guy couldn't have gone to some dangerous place again, right? When He Zhenjiang and the others arrived at the designated location, Sima Yue left with Enlai, preparing to take a look at the ores that had already been displayed. Miss Yue. Sima Yue turned around and saw Su Yu with 2 guards. Young Master Su, you're also here to participate in the OR meeting. She greeted with a smile. I heard that the winner of this meeting will obtain an ancient spirit beast, so we came to participate. Su Yu replied. Sima Yue nodded. She had also heard that the winner's prize this time was 3 ancient spirit beast stone statues, which was why so many forces were attracted to participate. How's the spirit beast from last time? She thought of the ancient spirit beast that had caused trouble for the Su family. It has already been tamed and contracted. So you did not avoid the topic. If Sima Yue had any ideas, she would have already implemented them in the mining area. Sima Yue did not ask how they tamed it, she only said that it was fine as long as it was contracted. This way, others would not be able to have any ideas about it. If the contractor died, the spirit beast would naturally die as well. I'm going to take a look at those ores so I won't disturb young Master Su. Sima Yue bowed to Su Yu and left with Enlai. Su Yu looked at her back as she left, his eyes darkening. Young Master, this Sima Yue is really arrogant. The guard behind Su Yu said. Su Yu turned around and glared at him, berating, You've been flattered too much. You feel uncomfortable when you see someone not flattering you? She's my savior. If you say that again, then scram. Young Master, I was wrong. This guard was assigned to him by his family after he returned from the ancient mines. He wasn't close to him. Sima Yue also heard the small interlude at the back, but she didn't care. She brought Enlai and Little Seven, with Little Lucky on her shoulder and Little Gold on her wrist, to the various stalls to look for ores. Every stall had an ore marked with a number. These were the ores that would be participating in the competition. Next to this were some other ores which were for sale. Those who came to participate in these meetings basically brought along seeker spirit masters. When they saw the ores they wanted, they would bid for them. However, she found that most of the people wanted to exchange things, not to sell them for money. Thinking about it, if they wanted to sell it for a high price, why would they sell it in a place where ores were flying everywhere? It would be more profitable to sell it in a shop. She wandered around the stalls one by one and found that quite a few forces were taking out primordial ores. He didn't expect there to be so many survivors from that incident. Actually, he had to thank that massacre. Because of that incident, those who lived far away from the mine had fled. Some of them had stayed there for more than half a year. That time they managed to escape with their lives. She walked around but didn't find any ores that were worth her attention, so she returned to He Zhenjiang's stall. When she returned, she found that more than half of the people He Zhenjiang brought had left. Uncle He, I don't think the Yang clan will let us investigate them at this time. Sima Yue said softly. I'll let them take a look. If they can't do it, they'll come back. He Zhenjiang said. This plaza was connected to one of the Yang clan's houses. It wasn't easy for them to enter, so they naturally had to enter the Yang clan to take a look. Sima Yue felt that this was a little risky, but the Yang clan had been very restrained recently. They also didn't have any concrete evidence, so they could only do this. How are we going to compete in this competition? Because she didn't plan to participate, she didn't even know the process of the competition. It's actually very simple. Do you see that high platform? Su Lunyan pointed at the high platform at the side. All the ores that are participating have been marked. According to the order of the numbers, they will be brought to the high platform to be opened. Whoever has a higher value will be appraised and ranked according to the price. Won't it take a long time? A few more powers will go up at once. It won't take more than a few days. He Zhenzhang said. Oh, then when it's time to open the ores, let's go take a look. Sima Yue was still very interested in opening the ores. After the powers that were participating in the competition entered, the competition officially started. Just like what Su Lunyan said, the participants were called to the high platform to open the ores. Many people gathered below the high platform and focused their attention on the ores to see how good the items were. The ores that were participating in the competition were not of low grades. The items that were open were also not bad. Even Sima Yue was envious of some of the items, but she was despised by Little Spirit. Sima Yue didn't feel embarrassed. Everyone liked treasures. After the people on the high platform opened the ores, they brought the items to the judges to appraise. These were all people of virtue and prestige. The prices that they gave were also more reasonable. After the registration was done, those people took the items and left. One went down and one went up. There were always 50 Seeker Spirit Masters on the high platform opening the ores. As the items that were opened were all treasures, the people below didn't feel bored. The high platform was always filled with people. Sima Yue was quite interested in the beginning. However, after looking for a few days and not seeing any treasures, she lost interest. However, Enlei and Little Seven were always paying attention. From time to time, they would tell Sima Yue about the treasures that were opened. Thus, she knew that quite a few ancient spiritual medicines had been found this time. Moreover, they were all extinct now. Yi Zhenzhang registered late. When he went to open the ores, it was already the last day of the competition. After so many days, the people in the plaza didn't leave. Yi Zhenzhang also brought along a Seeker Spirit Master. Sima Yue watched below and didn't open the ores personally. The final result was as she expected. An immemorial elixir was opened from the ores. This isn't an ordinary elixir. It's a saint elixir. An old man saw the elixir and became excited. It's actually a saint elixir. Really? I didn't expect that we would be able to see a saint elixir in our lifetime. A saint elixir is close to a divine elixir. There was an uproar below the high platform. Many people were excited. Sima Yue looked at the excited gazes around her and sighed helplessly. She just casually took out an ore. How did it become a saint elixir? Many people stared at the saint elixir with different expressions. They were probably thinking about it. Chapter 1552. He Zhenzhang and Su Lunyan's faces darkened when they saw the sacred medicine. They did not expect that the ore Sima Yue had given them would be so good that they could obtain a saint medicine that was only second to a godly medicine. They would definitely be happy for Sima Yue if they got such a good item in private, but now it brought them trouble. This item was now under their names. Now it was likely that many clans had shifted their target to the He clan. Uncle He, didn't you say that if we found something good, we would auction it off? Now that there's a saint medicine, do you still want to auction it? He Zhenzhang was shocked when he heard Sima Yue's words. They had never said anything like that before. Wasn't she saying that she wanted to sell this sacred medicine? They had brought quite a number of people with them, but it would not be easy for them to escape from so many forces. Selling the sacred medicine was to size up the situation. It could protect his own safety and also prevent those people from having designs on the He clan. But that was a saintly medicine, how could she bear to part with it? To be able to resist the temptation of treasures at such a young age, this kind of temperament was very rare. However, what moved him and Su Lunyan was her heart towards them. This holy medicine was under the name of the He clan. When this matter was over, they would definitely return the holy medicine to her. This way she wouldn't be targeted by others after obtaining the holy medicine. It could be said that she had sold the saintly medicine for them. He looked at Sima Yue's little face and was extremely touched. He stared at her in a daze. In the eyes of others, he was unwilling to sell the sacred medicine and was angry at Sima Yue for talking too much. Thus, someone asked, "Patriarchy, is what this little girl said true? Are you really going to sell this sacred medicine?" His tone was very urgent. He was afraid that He Zhenzhang would say something negative. He Zhenzhang came back to his senses and nodded. "That's what I said before. Patriarchy, since you have such a plan, why don't you sell it to me? Patriarchy, please sell it to me. Patriarchy, how much are you selling this holy medicine?" He Zhenzhang was getting a headache from their quarrel. Su Lunyan smiled and said, "Old master, we are still in the greater convention. Let's talk about selling the sacred herbs after this is over." Since they had already said that they wanted to sell this sacred medicine, those people would not have any thoughts of snatching it. "Uncle He, since so many people want this sacred medicine, you can't just sell it to anyone, right?" Sima Yue said. "Do you have any ideas?" This was her thing, so naturally she had to make the final decision. "I feel that all the uncles want this saintly medicine, so it wouldn't be good for you to sell it to anyone, right? Why don't I hand this sacred medicine over to the Xianyuan Pavilion and ask them to auction it on my behalf? It's fair to whoever gets the sacred medicine in the end," Sima Yue suggested. He Zhenjiang's eyes lit up. This wasn't a bad idea. Not only would he be able to sell the item, but he wouldn't cause any dissatisfaction from the other forces. "And when the convention is over, we'll send the sacred medicine over." He nodded, giving a message to the people around him. "If you want the sacred medicine, go to the auction yourself." In the past, very few people would bring their items to the auction house after opening it. They would either keep it for themselves or auction it on the spot. Therefore, after opening something good, no one thought of selling it to the auction house. There was another reason. Normally, only 1 or 2 items would be opened. If there were so few items, the auction house wouldn't hold a separate auction. This time, with Sima Yue taking the lead, there would definitely be many people who would bring their items to the auction house. Furthermore, just the sacred medicine alone was worth the auction house holding an auction. Not to mention, Sima Yue still had the token that old man Jun had given her back then. When everyone heard that they were going to put the item in the Xianyuan Pavilion, they stopped trying to persuade them. If they were to sell it at the auction house, they would definitely be able to get a higher price. Naturally, they wouldn't buy it here. Furthermore, they had time to gather the money, so they had more confidence in competing for this sacred medicine. When the few people who had opened the item heard this, they all had the same thought. If they could bring it to the Xianyuan Pavilion to sell, they wouldn't be in a hurry to sell it now. When the value of the treasure didn't match the strength of the owner, even if they had it, they could only give it away. As for those powerful clans, the treasures that they obtained might not necessarily be what they liked. Now that they heard that those people were going to the auction house, they might be able to get what they wanted. Therefore, there were many people who had this thought. After the last person had opened the stone, the person in charge of the auction came up to the stage. He cupped his hands towards the crowd and said, "The results have already been recorded. However, because there is a lot of data, we still have to estimate the final value from many aspects. Therefore, the results will only be out in 2 days. Tomorrow, our family head has prepared a banquet for everyone. I hope that everyone can attend." After the auction ended, the people in the square gradually dispersed. However, many people directly went to the Xianyuan Pavilion. When Sima Yue and the rest arrived at the Xianyuan Pavilion, many people had already handed their items to the Xianyuan Pavilion. The people in the Xianyuan Pavilion had already received the news. Therefore, they weren't surprised when they saw these people. However, they were overjoyed. This was equivalent to giving them free money. When the waiter saw Sima Yue and the rest coming in, he welcomed them with a smile and asked, "Dear guests, are you here to buy something?" Sima Yue shook her head. The waiter immediately reacted and asked, "Are you here to auction something too?" Sima Yue took out her token and said that she wanted to see their manager. When the waiter saw the token, he became even more respectful. This token was only given to Sima Yue. He immediately understood her identity. "Miss Yue, the manager is behind. Please follow me." He directly brought them to the manager. When the manager heard that Sima Yue was here, he immediately welcomed her in. When he found out that the sacred medicine was hers, he was extremely surprised. "Miss Yue, are you planning to auction the sacred medicine?" At first, he thought that Sima Yue was crazy. How could she sell such a good thing? However, he immediately realized that the sacred medicine would definitely bring danger to her if she kept it. "Miss Yue, if you are worried about the safety of the sacred medicine, we can send it back to your residence." With the Xianyuan Pavilion sending it, the sacred medicine would definitely reach the Sima family safely. "No need. Since you said that you want to auction it, then let's auction it." It wasn't that Sima Yue didn't like the sacred medicine. However, it was too eye-catching to be opened in public. Even if it was sent back to her family, it would bring danger to her family. When the manager saw that Sima Yue was insistent, he didn't try to persuade her anymore. Every Xianyuan Pavilion had their own assessment targets. If they could auction off the sacred medicine, then they would definitely pass the assessment this time. "We will definitely bid for the sacred medicine at a satisfactory price for you. Then I will have to trouble you." Sima Yue didn't stand on ceremony. When Yang Wei found out that Sima Yue and many others had sent the sacred medicine to the Shenyuan pavilion, he was so angry that he threw the cup in his hand. Chapter 1553. Silence reigned in the meeting hall. This Sima Yue. Yang Wei gritted his teeth. Veins popped out on his forehead. It was clear how angry he was. If she hadn't suggested that he Zhenjiang give the sacred medicine to the Shenyuan pavilion, the others wouldn't have followed suit. If I had known earlier, I would have gotten rid of her a few days ago. An elder said. It's useless to say that now. Patriarch, we should think of a way to get those things. Another elder was more rational. We can't go head-to-head with the Shenyuan pavilion. He could only spend money to bid for it. No matter what price I have to pay, I have to get my hands on those ancient era's spirit herbs. When Yang Wei thought about how much money he had to spend, his heart ached. Fortunately, the higher-ups would give them some support. Otherwise, with their financial resources, they might not be able to win the bid. Patriarch, it's best to separate them. If those people know that the things have fallen into our hands, I'm afraid it will cause unnecessary trouble. Yes, we'll split into a few groups. Each group will be responsible for one type of spirit herb. After 2 days, the Shenyuan pavilion would bring the auction list over, and then they would work out a detailed plan. After this is over, we must kill Sima Yue. Yes, Patriarch. Sima Yue did not know that she had been blacklisted by the Yang family. Even if she knew, she wouldn't care. In any case, ever since she met Yang Shi, it was impossible for her to be on good terms with them. The steward of the Shenyuan pavilion carefully put away the sacred medicine. Together with Sima Yue, he personally sent the sacred medicine to the secret room. Then he said, Miss Yue, we plan to hold the auction in half a year. What do you think? Do I have to wait that long? The more time passes, the more people will know about the sacred medicine. When the time comes, there will be more people participating in the auction, and this sacred medicine will be able to fetch a higher price. The manager was very considerate towards Sima Yue. Will there be any problems after leaving it there for so long? Sima Yue was worried. If it was someone else who questioned Shenyuan Pavilion, the steward would have left immediately. However, in front of Sima Yue, he didn't even dare to show any displeasure. Don't worry, the item is in the Shenyuan Pavilion. It's absolutely safe. That secret room just now, even a high-level honorable realm expert wouldn't be able to break it. Not to mention we have an expert guarding it. The manager said. What he didn't say was that in the primordial lands, no one dared to have designs on the Shenyuan Pavilion. Sima Yue knew that Shenyuan Pavilion was related to Feng people. When she thought of Feng Ruyen, she also believed that no one would dare to have any ideas about Shenyuan Pavilion. Then let's do it half a year later. I'll come back in half a year. If he could earn more money, it didn't matter if he delayed a little. 2 days later, I will send over the list of participants for this auction. If Miss is interested in anything, we can keep an eye out for you. Then I'll have to trouble you. Sima Yue then told him where she was staying before leaving with He Zhenjiang and the others. On the way back, Su Lunyan tried to hold it in but was eventually defeated by her own curiosity. Yue, are you also from the Shenyuan Pavilion? Sima Yue shook her head. It was just a coincidence that I treated a very important person. After that, they gave me the token. Speaking of which, this thing is really useful. Everywhere I go, the managers are all respectful. With the Shenyuan Pavilion, you'll be much safer wherever you go. And with them arranging for you, this sacred medicine will definitely be auctioned for a good price. Su Lunyan said, it's a pity, if only you could keep it for yourself. Speaking of which, it's also our fault. If we didn't borrow the ore from you, you could have kept this sacred medicine. Yi Zhenjiang said guiltily. Although this sacred medicine could be auctioned for a sky-high price, this was a sacred medicine from the primordial era. No amount of money could buy it. I like money, I can buy many other useful things. Sima Yue didn't mind. Anyway, she had more than one sacred medicine. At this moment, in the Spirit Pagoda's collection pavilion, there were still 3 sacred medicines. They were all obtained when she was resting for the past few years. It had to be said that little gold was definitely in primordial treasure detector. None of the ores that it let Sima Yue pick were white stones. Every single one of them could be obtained. The first time she obtained a sacred medicine, she was excited for a long time. The second time she obtained one, she was much calmer. The third time she obtained a sacred medicine, she wasn't surprised at all. And she saw that the sacred medicine that was obtained this time wasn't as good as the 3 in the Spirit Pagoda, so she wasn't reluctant to part with it. He Zhenjiang and Su Lunyan saw that Sima Yue was very calm after obtaining the sacred medicine. She wasn't reluctant to part with it at all. The two of them sighed in their hearts at her good attitude. Sima Yue could tell what they were thinking, but she didn't say anything. She couldn't tell them that she still had the sacred medicine, so she didn't care about it. When the surrounding people saw them coming out of Shenyuan Pavilion, they knew that they were really going to auction the sacred medicine, so they gave up on tailing them. The three of them returned to the inn. When He Zhenjiang opened the door, he saw a person covered in blood. Sima Yue was about to return to her room, but when she smelled the blood in the room, she looked over. "Old master. We were ambushed. The people who went are all dead." After that person finished speaking, he fell into a deep sleep. He Zhenjiang and Su Lunyan's faces were very ugly. The people they sent were all experts among experts, but they were all dead. The Yang clan must have guessed that someone would take the opportunity to go to their clan, so they ambushed us in advance. Sima Yue said. He Zhenjiang also thought of this when he gave him the pill. "Old master, we have to hide him first. If the Yang clan finds us here, we'll be in trouble." Su Lunyan reminded. He Zhenjiang took out a small pearl. After injecting spiritual energy, a door to a small realm appeared in the room. He bent down to carry the guard and brought him in. Soon after he came out again. Sima Yue didn't expect him to have a small realm. No wonder she felt that she had never seen the people who followed her to the auction. She thought that they came later on. Now it seemed like they were placed in the small realm before. None of the people who went to investigate returned. He Zhenjiang's aura was a little low. "Old master, are we going to the banquet tomorrow? Their people were killed. If they went to the Yang clan tomorrow, would they not be able to return?" "Go, of course we're going. How can we miss such a good opportunity to enter the Yang clan?" He Zhenjiang snorted, "But Yue, don't go. I feel that the Yang clan doesn't have good intentions in organizing this great meeting." Sima Yue shook her head. "If the Yang clan wants to deal with you, even if I stay in the inn, I won't be able to escape. I might as well go with you guys. It'll be safer this way." He Zhenjiang thought about it and agreed to bring her along. Chapter 1554. Recommended reading. Although there were some people who didn't want to attend the banquet, there were still many people who went because of the Yang family's face. We don't write, we're just web text movers. Sima Yue was wearing an emerald green dress. Her hair was combed into a simple bun with an emerald green hairpin and a pair of earrings of the same color. Although she was dressed simply, she gave people a comfortable feeling. She sat quietly in the corner of the banquet hall, holding a glass of wine and quietly watching the crowd. "May I sit down?" Sima Yue looked up and saw Su Yu's smiling face. "Whatever." She shrugged. This was not her place. Su Yu sat beside her with a wine glass and said, "I saw you looking at these people just now. What are you looking at?" "I'm thinking, what's the purpose of the Yang family spending money to hold the great meeting?" Sima Yue said, "Spending money and putting in effort, what benefits does it bring them? I think they are here for those ancient things." Su Yu said. "Why do you say that?" Sima Yue turned to look at him. "As far as I know, from the end of the conference yesterday to the banquet, the Yang family went to find several forces." Su Yu said, "They all have one thing in common. They are all primordial ores. Not only that, but those forces have also obtained primordial spiritual herbs. So I guess that if your holy medicine hadn't been auctioned off by the Shenyuan Pavilion, I'm afraid they would have already found you." "So you guessed. They got it all? Some of them aren't as strong as them, so they naturally can't withstand their pressure. But some were not so lucky. They don't have your boldness, throwing away the sacred medicine just because you said you didn't want it. In the end, it was left in their hands and ended up in the hands of the Yang family." Sima Yue could hear the teasing in his words. She laughed and said, "If you can't protect it, why keep it by your side? On the contrary, it will only lead to disaster." Not everyone can be so open-minded. Su Yu admired her. If it were him, he might not be able to take it out so easily. Sima Yue smiled and did not reply. "This time, first place belongs to you. That ancient spiritual beast will probably attract the attention of others." Su Yu reminded. "On the surface, it belongs to Uncle He and the others. Those people won't find me," Sima Yue said. After knowing that he had a little realm, she felt that she couldn't underestimate the He clan's strength. They wouldn't have much of a problem obtaining a stone statue. If someone wanted to snatch it, they would definitely not be able to return. "If you sit here, not only will Uncle He and the rest not be able to return, but you will also be captured by the Yang family?" Su Yu asked when he saw Sima Yue fall silent again. Sima Yue frowned slightly. She felt that Su Yu was trying to get close to her. "And he is your aunt, aren't you worried?" she asked. Su Yu looked at the alienation in her eyes and sighed helplessly in his heart. Previously, she heard that her relationship with Yin Lang was quite good. Why was she so guarded against her? "Since I know that they will be fine, what's there to worry about? I'm going back. Goodbye." For some reason, Sima Yue couldn't get close to Su Yu, even if he was Su Lunyan's nephew. At this moment, Su Lunyan and He Zhenjiang walked over. Looking at Sima Yue's back, she said, "Did you offend her?" Su Yu didn't want to talk about this and asked, "Uncle, Aunt, how is it?" "She can't leave for too long. We didn't find any news." Su Lunyan said, "I'm worried that the Yang family will deal with her when we're not around." The Yang family doesn't seem to be too happy with her. No one greeted her. Su Yu saw that no one paid attention to her, so he thought of coming over to talk to her. "She's gone back. Let's go back too." Sima Yue didn't actually go back. After she left the banquet hall, she was targeted. She walked and stopped for a while before turning into a small alley. The people following her followed, but when they entered the alley, they found that the scenery in front of them had completely changed. Oh no. Those people looked at the vast wilderness and their faces changed. This should be an alley, but the wilderness appeared, which meant that they were hallucinating. Could it be an illusion? "It's an illusion array," someone said with certainty. "How can it be? How long has she been here? How could she have set up an illusion array?" They had been monitoring her for the past 2 days. She had never been here, so it was impossible for her to have set up an illusion array in advance. But how could she not know about an illusion array in 10 minutes? "I don't know if she's in this array." Just as he finished speaking, Sima Yue appeared on the hill in front of them. "Are you asking me?" Sima Yue smiled at them. She appeared whenever she wanted, which made everyone's heart sink. This meant that she had absolute control over this illusion array. "Who sent you here?" "Let me guess, the Yang family?" Sima Yue looked at their expressions. "Seems like I guessed wrong. That must be Dan Yushi." Other than Dan Yushi, she did not have any enemies here. The Dan family should be the one who sent people to kill her. "I heard that Dan Yushi is unruly, arrogant and despotic. I thought that the incident last time was over, but I didn't expect her to not be waiting for me here." Sima Yue sneered. "But it's a pity that you won't be able to complete her mission today." Sima Yue sneered. Her smile sent chills down their spines. Half an hour later, Sima Yue walked out of the alley. There was no one following her. Not long after, someone entered the alley and saw a few corpses on the ground. On the second day after the banquet, the results of the competition were out. Sima Yue's panacea was undoubtedly the first. Soon, a stone statue was delivered to He Zhenjiang. "Yue, this is for you." He Zhenjiang waited for those people to leave before bringing the stone statue to Sima Yue's house. Sima Yue hesitated for a moment before accepting the stone statue. This was the reward for her panacea. Even He Zhenjiang and the others would find it strange if she did not accept it. After a while, the manager of the Shenyuan Pavilion came to the inn and personally brought the list of names for the auction. "You can ask the waiter to bring it over. You didn't have to come here personally." Sima Yue smiled as she kept the list. "It's my duty." The manager smiled. "The higher-ups heard that you brought a panacea to the auction and sent 2 more supreme-level experts over. Thank you for your trouble. We will do our best to spread the news in the next 6 months. If you need anything, please let us know. If possible, can you reserve a room for me? There will definitely be a room for you." "That's good." Sima Yue smiled. This auction would definitely be very lively. She wanted to invite her family members to come and watch. Those who read Crazy Wife, 5th Miss Miracle Doctor, also liked it. Chapter 1555. The Great Meeting was held very smoothly. Although there were some people who were forced to sell the ancient spirit herbs to the Yang family in the end, they also received generous rewards. It wasn't too much of a loss. If it was in the past, the participants would have left one after another after the competition ended. But this time not many people left. Many people had received invitations from the Shenyuan Pavilion. Other than the grand finale of the event, there were also many immemorial spiritual herbs and spiritual artifacts. In the past, if the quality of the auctioned items was not high enough, the Shenyuan Pavilion would still take out their own items as the finale. This time there was no need for that at all. Just the saintly medicine alone was enough. Not only did the major powers in G City receive this message, Even the major powers in the other prefectures received it. It could be said that the invitations this time were mainly from the first-rate forces in the inner region. Even the weakest ones were from the second-rate forces. People like the Sima family were not qualified to participate in such a high-level auction. However, the Sima family still received an invitation from the Shenyuan Pavilion and a letter from Sima Yue. In the letter, Sima Yue mentioned some of the things that happened when she went out this time. She also mentioned that the sacred medicine was being auctioned. If the family was willing, they could go and take a look. When Sima Jiyuan and the others knew that Sima Yue had opened a saint medicine and wanted to auction it off, they beat their chests and stomped their feet in frustration. However, what was done could not be undone. They did not have the confidence to go against the entire continent, so they could only accept this reality. After accepting reality, he gathered the elders of the family and discussed whether there was anything on the auction list that the family needed. If there was, they would prepare to raise money and participate in the auction. After Sima Yu gave the letter to the people of the Shenyuan Pavilion, she rarely went out. However, even so, she was assassinated several times. Danyushi was very depressed. Every time she sent out more people than the last time, the end result was the same. They were all annihilated. This made her hate Sima Yu even more. At night, Sima Yue walked out of the inn and avoided the people on the street. She made many turns and arrived at a courtyard of the Yang family. Little Lucky, if you go in and make any noise, I will throw you into the spirit pagoda and forbid you from coming out. She threatened Little Lucky. Xiaoxi originally wanted to go in and kill the Yang family members to avenge Sima Yue. However, when he heard what she said, he was stunned and nodded reluctantly. Sima Yue then brought it into the Yang family. Following the route that the Scarlet Bees had found out, they headed straight for Danyushi's residence. Although she didn't put Danyushi in her eyes, her temper had flared up after the repeated assassination attempts. Sending out the Scarlet Bees to scout ahead of time, it was easy for him to find out where she lived. At this time, Danyushi was throwing a tantrum in the house. The assassins that were sent tonight were all wiped out. What a bunch of useless trash. That Sima Yue is only a monarch. I sent so many assassins but none of them came back. With that, she smashed the table beside her. The other maids didn't even dare to breathe loudly, afraid that they would be implicated. Only her personal maid was braver and advised, "Young miss, don't be angry. We underestimated her the previous few times. Luckily, she won't be leaving G City during this period of time. When Old Master and the rest come to participate in the auction, we will send some experts over. We will definitely be able to kill her." Thinking that she still has to live for a few more months, my heart feels worse than burning. Danyushi said hatefully. Bang. The people in the house were talking when the door was suddenly slammed open. A figure flew in from outside and landed heavily in front of Danyushi. Who is it? The maids quickly stood in front of Danyushi. It wasn't that they wanted to protect her, but if she died, they wouldn't be able to live anymore. Sima Yue brought Little Lucky in from outside. She was very satisfied with Little Lucky's battle prowess. Why is it you? Danyushi saw her and cried out in surprise. Why can't it be me? Sima Yue laughed coldly. You can send people to kill me, so why can't I come and find you? What do you want to do? Danyushi saw the guards lying on the ground and knew that Sima Yue didn't come with good intentions. She didn't know if the clan's patrols would have noticed this place with such a huge commotion. Don't worry, no one will come to save you. The people outside won't be able to hear the commotion here. Sima Yue said calmly. Seeing the fear in her eyes, Sima Yue felt pretty good. How is that possible? What did you do? Danyushi cried out, but in her heart she believed Sima Yue's words. She had beaten up all the guards in the courtyard. With such a huge commotion, if the patrols wanted to notice this place, they would have already come. Until now, no one had come, which meant that no one outside had noticed this place. It's nothing much, I just set up a barrier when I came in. It just so happens that I've learned this quite well. So, just scream as much as you want, no one will be able to hear you anyway. After Sima Yue finished speaking, she teleported and avoided the maids in front of her. She came in front of Danyushi and reached out her hand to strangle her neck. Young mistress. Let go of young mistress. The maids in the house all screamed. Hua Hua, didn't you say that you haven't eaten meat for a long time? Sima Yue didn't care about the people in the house and called Hua Hua out. Then she pulled Xiaoxi down and threw him over. Then she turned her head and looked at Danyushi. You can't kill me. Danyushi saw the murderous look in Sima Yue's eyes and felt terrified for the first time. When you sent people to kill me, did you ever think that you would be killed by someone else one day? Sima Yue laughed coldly. She didn't waste any more words and used her strength to break Dan Yushi's neck. Tsk, she used too much strength in her hands. Yu, what a waste of food. After Hua ate those people, she looked at the corpses on the ground and smacked her lips twice. She was picky now and didn't eat corpses. She only liked to eat living people. So, when she looked at the corpses on the ground, she didn't have any desire at all. If she doesn't stay here, how will others know that she's dead? Sima Yue said lightly. Let's go, someone will come in a while. After Sima Yue finished speaking, she put away Hua and left the courtyard with Xiaoxi. Without the barrier, the smell of blood quickly alerted the patrolling guards. When they arrived, they saw the courtyard full of blood and Dan Yushi in the house. Go and inform the master that the young mistress has been killed. The guard ordered the people behind him. Thinking about the young mistress who was coming back soon, he couldn't help but have a headache. Sima Yue left Dan Yushi's courtyard. She wanted to leave as soon as possible, but in order to avoid the Yang family's guards, she went around in circles. Not only did she not leave, but she also went further and further away from where she came in. At this moment, she felt a gust of death coming in her direction and subconsciously hid her aura. No wonder Uncle He and the others couldn't find anything after investigating the Yang family. It turns out that they didn't leave the corpses outside at all. They left them in the little realm. No matter how they investigated, they couldn't find any direct connection. If she hadn't accidentally bumped into these people this time, she was afraid that she wouldn't have been able to find anything no matter how long she investigated. The two men brought the corpses to the foot of a mountain. At the foot of the mountain sat a black-clothed man. His attire was no different from the corpses. He sat on a large rock, and when he saw the corpses walking over, he frowned and said unhappily, "Didn't I say that you're not allowed to make corpses outside? Why did you bring these back? These resources are not bad, but we can't leave them. So we can only make them like this. Now is a crucial time. If we lure those people to the family, it will be troublesome. Why are you still so ignorant? No matter how important these corpses are, they are not as important as the safety of the family. Yes, this is the last time. Humph, send them to the blood pool." Yes. The group started to walk again. Sima Yue followed behind them. Because they wanted to go up the mountain, she didn't expect that person to bring them to a cave at the foot of the mountain. The cave was very dark. It was probably because the corpses didn't need to see anything. The two men in front took out their night pearls to light up the path. They could barely see the path ahead. Sima Yue followed and walked all the way down. When they reached the bottom, the smell of blood assailed their nostrils. After walking for a while, she finally understood why the smell of blood was so strong. It was a pool bigger than a football field. It was filled with human blood. Go down. If you soak here for 49 days, you will become real corpses. After that person finished speaking, he didn't know if the corpses understood him. One by one they walked into the blood pool. Sima Yue followed behind. After hesitating for a few seconds, she walked to a place a little further away and obediently went into the pool, letting the fresh blood cover her head. Let's go out. Footsteps could be heard above her head. The two men gradually walked further away. Sima Yue waited for a while. After confirming that there was no one above, she flashed into the spirit pagoda. When the people in the spirit pagoda saw her covered in blood, they were shocked. Are you injured? No, this is the blood from the blood pool. It's not mine. Little spirit, I want to take a bath. After half an hour, she finally cleaned herself up. What is that blood pool? How did it make you like this? Little Roar asked with a look of disgust. Sima Yue took him out from Huahua's arms and held him in her arms. As she did so, she said, "This blood pool is a place to refine corpses. However, I still don't know how it is formed." Following that, she told her beasts about how she followed the corpses into the little realm. So you're saying that this is the place to create corpses? Those corpses were created here? I can't be sure about this. However, from their previous conversation, those corpses need to be soaked in the blood pool to become corpses. Sima Yue stroked her chin. She really didn't know how those people did it. I feel that what you need to think about now is not how to create corpses but how to get out. Thousand Resonance reminded her. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, he explained, "Since this is the place to create corpses, would there be people guarding this place? How many corpses are there? If you go out like this and get discovered, what will happen? You can't use the Scarlet Beast to scout for information here. You don't know anything, why did you follow them in so impulsively? I also know that it's not appropriate to come in like this. However, Uncle He and the rest couldn't find anything after investigating for so long. Now that I finally found it, I wanted to come in and take a look. If I encounter any danger, I can use the teleportation array to leave or something. Who knew that these people would be so generous to use a little realm to do all this? Sima Yue was also speechless. However, since we're already here, let's investigate properly first. Chapter 1557. Sima Yue changed into another set of black clothes in the spirit pagoda. When she appeared again, a faint ghost aura lingered around her, blocking the blood water. These corpses hadn't turned into corpses yet, so they couldn't sense spiritual energy. They didn't notice that someone was different from them. When she reached the shore, her clothes were still dry, without a single drop of blood on them. However, she noticed that there was less blood than before. Although it was only a slight difference and couldn't be seen with the naked eye, she could sense it with her divine sense. She looked at the corpses. The aura of death was heavier than when she first came down. She guessed that the blood had been absorbed by them. How bloody! She sighed in her heart. Who knew how many lives had been used to accumulate so much blood? She observed for a moment and found that other than the tunnel they came in from, there were 3 other tunnels that led in the opposite direction. He didn't know where these 3 passageways would lead to, and whether there would be any danger inside. At this time, she realized that she had relied too much on the scarlet bees in the past. She liked to let them investigate everything first. Now that she couldn't use them, she seemed to have her hands tied. It seemed that he would have to change this habit in the future. She took 2 deep breaths and chose the path on the side. She didn't know where the tunnel led to, but she could feel that the path was heading upwards. As expected, it didn't take long before they left the underground and arrived at the valley. Before leaving the cave, she first used her divine sense to check the surroundings. After confirming that there was no life force outside, she carefully walked out. There are so many corpses here. Sima Yue was a little surprised. As far as the eye could see, the whole valley was covered in black. They were all corpses wearing black clothes and black cloaks. With a sweep of her divine sense, she estimated that there were at least a few thousand corpses here. She thought for a moment, and with a thought, she ran towards the corpses. But before he could touch her, he disappeared. By the time she returned, all the corpses in the valley had already been stored in her spirit pagoda. Little Roar and the others did not like these undead and wanted to kill them the moment they entered. However, they were stopped by Sima Yue. She said that she wanted to keep it for research. Maybe she could get something out of it. After harvesting the corpses in this valley, Sima Yue felt that there might be corpses in the other 2 routes as well. Thus, she went back to the blood pool and went to the other 2 paths. Just as she thought, the other 2 paths also led to the valley, and there were thousands of corpses in the valley. The total number of corpses in the 3 valleys was estimated to be close to 10,000. Sima Yue did not look too good after a round of looting. There were so many corpses, and the weak ones weren't even qualified to be made into corpses. If these 10,000 corpses were taken out, it would be a very powerful force. Moreover, her intuition told her that there were not all the corpses here. No wonder these guys dared to be so brazen, even doing something like massacring a city. After returning to the blood pool, Sima Yue finally calmed down. Since the Yang clan had prepared so many corpses, they were definitely planning something big. It was a pity that he didn't know what they were planning. However, according to the rules of survival in this mainland, it was nothing more than destroying other people's forces or snatching their resources to strengthen themselves. The amount of blood in the blood pool was less than when she left. After 49 days, all the blood would have been absorbed. Thinking of the many corpses in the spirit pagoda, the blood pool must have been filled with countless people's blood. Sensing that someone was coming, she quickly entered the spirit pagoda to check on the situation outside. Humans and corpses were different. They were still corpses and would not notice her presence. However, if she continued to stay in the blood pool and used her spiritual energy to block the blood, she would definitely be discovered. Boss, it seems that the corpses have been absorbing quite well these 2 days. I still have to check on them every 2 days. Just in case. The 2 of them left after checking for a while. Sima Yue then came out of the spirit pagoda. With so many corpses gone, it would definitely be discovered very soon, and it would cause a commotion. If the little realm was closed, she wouldn't be able to leave. She didn't have Wu Lingyu's ability to tear space apart. Thinking of this, she felt that she couldn't wait any longer. What if she couldn't wait any longer? Hence, when those people came down for the second time, she made her move. She sprinkled poison at the entrance of the passageway. The 2 of them fainted the moment they came in. Sima Yue kept her ghost energy and killed the one she called boss. Before he died, she searched his mind and found out about his past. The man in black beside her was shaken awake. When he opened his eyes, he saw his boss looking at him anxiously. "Wake up, something happened," Sima Yue said anxiously when she saw him open his eyes. "Boss, what happened?" He had just woken up and was still a little dizzy. "Something happened to the blood pool. The blood is gone." Sima Yue pointed at the dried-up blood pool. There were only corpses left in it. Seeing the empty blood pool, the man immediately woke up and shouted, "Boss, how did this happen?" "I don't know either," Sima Yue said. "When we came in just now we were ambushed, right? I think this place was tampered with." "How is that possible? This is a small realm. How can an ordinary person come in?" "I'm puzzled too. When I woke up, I went to the valley in front to take a look. The corpses were all gone," Sima Yue said. She was still puzzled as to why there was no one guarding this place. Later she thought that this was a small realm. An ordinary person would not be able to come in at all. Hence, there was no need to send someone to guard this place. "God!" the man shouted, "if something happens thinking of the punishment he would face, the man immediately collapsed onto the ground. "You don't have to sit here. Let's hurry out and inform Steward He." After saying that, Sima Yue dragged the man on the ground and ran out. When they arrived at the entrance of the cave, the person guarding outside was still the same person. It was Steward He whom she knew from her memory. Steward He, not good. Dead bodies. The two of them ran too fast and could not speak fluently. Steward He saw them and his body trembled. "What happened to the dead bodies?" Sima Yue took 2 deep breaths and said, "The corpses in the valley are all gone. The blood in the blood pool is also gone." "What?" Steward He stood up from the rock and was about to rush in. "You follow Steward He in, I'll go and tell the patriarch this news." Sima Yue pushed that person into the cave, then flew towards the entrance. Chapter 1558. After leaving the little realm, Sima Yue let out a long sigh of relief. She originally wanted to go out directly, but after a change of heart, she changed her direction. Not long after, the Yang family patriarch and a group of elders found out about the loss of the undead. The person who went to report was directly killed by Yang Wei with a palm strike. When Sima Yue heard the news, she was already outside the Yang clan. This news was told to her by the scarlet bees that were left in the Yang clan. Fortunately, she was quick-witted and did not report the news herself. Instead, she sent a guard in. Although the other party was unwilling, it seemed that the people who came out of the little world all had relatively high statuses, so he could only obediently go. When she returned to the inn and walked in, she saw Su Lunyan running down the stairs to Sima Yue. Seeing that Sima Yue was safe, Su Lunyan was relieved. "You little girl, where did you run off to? I haven't seen you for so many days, I was so worried." Seeing that she was fine, Su Lunyan started to scold her. "Auntie He, I'm fine. I have something to tell you and Uncle He." Sima Yue lowered her voice as she held Su Lunyan's hand and went upstairs. Looking at Sima Yue's mysterious look, Su Lunyan swallowed her words and brought her into her house. "I'm back." Zhang also knew that Sima Yue had returned. They hadn't seen her for a few days, so they didn't investigate the Yang family anymore. Instead, they searched the entire city for her. Fortunately, Enlei kept reassuring them that Sima Yue was fine, so they were not that worried. "Yue, I'm sorry to have made Uncle and Auntie He worried for the past few days." Sima Yue was genuinely apologetic. "It's good that you're all right." Su Lunyan patted her head, "But don't run out without saying goodbye next time." "I understand." "Oh right, you said that you have something to tell us. What's the matter?" Su Lunyan asked. "It's like this," Sima Yue told him about her experience in the Yang family. In the end, she hid the fact that the corpses were missing and only said that she saw some corpses. "I didn't expect it to be placed in the little world. No wonder we couldn't find anything when we came here." Zhang slammed his palm on the table. Fortunately, he controlled his strength and didn't break the table. Only those with the aura of death can enter that little realm. That's why the people Uncle He sent didn't find anything. "Don't be angry," Sima Yue comforted. This time, if she hadn't coincidentally used her ghost chi to follow those corpses in, she probably wouldn't have been able to find that place. "If that's the case, I'm afraid we can't expose the relationship between the Yang family and the undead here." Su Lunyan was a little disappointed. As long as the Yang clan and the undead do something, it's still possible. However, the possibility of that happening in G City wasn't high. Since that was the case, he might as well redeploy his forces and wait for the auction in a few months. For the next few months, the Yang family was unusually quiet. Other than those who went out to do business or socialize, the people in the residence rarely came out. However, there weren't any other movements. If she didn't know that they had lost so many undead, she would have thought that nothing had happened in the Yang family. Thinking about those undead, Sima Yue returned to her room and went to the spirit pagoda. In the spirit pagoda, the beasties were surrounding those undead and studying them. However, after studying for a while, they still didn't know how to make these undead move. Seems like we need to have a way to control them. Sima Yue gave up after studying for a while. She used all the underworld skills that she had learned when she first started, but no matter what she did, these undead didn't move at all. Yu, when the time comes, let's capture a few people and ask them to tell us how to control them. Little Seven didn't have a good impression of these undead. Seeing that Sima Yue was so interested, she pouted and said, "That's the only way." Sima Yue said, "If not, we can only go to the ghost realm and ask them if they have any other methods." However, what she didn't know was that even in the ghost realm, this method of directly controlling the undead was called sorcery. If people knew about it, they would be attacked together. Hence, her idea of using these undead was most likely going to be foiled. In the following days, Sima Yue didn't go out and simply went into seclusion. As for the He family, because they knew that it was useless to investigate further, they didn't plan to go out either. However, sometimes they would still go out early and return late. It seemed like they hadn't completely given up. Sima Yue went into seclusion in the spirit pagoda. If there was anyone, little spirit would remind her. Hence, no one knew that she wasn't in her room for the past few months. It wasn't until a month before the auction, when there were more and more people in the city, that she ended her seclusion and changed to reading in her room. Later, she heard from Enlei that a few days ago, the Dan family came to find trouble with Sima Yue. However, they were stopped by He Xinjiang and the rest. "This Dan Yushi is dead in the Yang family. Why don't you go find the Yang family? Why are you looking for my little girl? Are you bullying her because she doesn't have anyone to rely on? The people from Xianyuan Pavilion have to worship her. Don't you dare touch her?" Su Lunyan's words were very effective. Everyone in Ji City knew about Xianyuan Pavilion's attitude towards Sima Yue. Other than her, no one else's invitation was personally sent out by the steward. Knowing that the He family was the one auctioning the sacred medicine, the Dan family didn't go against them and left dejectedly. After hearing this, Sima Yue sneered and said, "These people only know how to bully the weak. Dan Yushi died in the Yang family. They can't catch the murderer, so they can only find me, someone who has a grudge with her, to settle the score." Although she was indeed the murderer, in the eyes of outsiders, no one would associate her with the murderer. The Dan family did this because they were looking for a weak person to vent their anger on. Enlei had seen this in the Donglai family and knew that this was the deep-rooted bad habit of people. She didn't say anything. After a few days, the people from the Sima family came. Sima Yue saw that other than her great-grandfather and grandparents, even Sima Qing was here. "Old ancestor, why are you not at home? Why are you here? It won't be chaotic." Sima Qing glanced at her and sighed in his heart. She was just a little girl, but she was now affecting the entire family. Anything she did was enough to make them shudder with fear and trepidation. "Child, you did well this time. In a situation where you don't have the ability, you must protect yourself first before thinking about those things." Huang Yingying touched Sima Yue's head and lectured her. "I know, Granny. You must be tired. Rest first. I'll bring you around the city later." Sima Yue said with a smile. "Okay." Sima Yue sent them to their rooms. When she returned, she realized that there was another person in the house. She narrowed her eyes and looked at the person cautiously. "Who are you?" Chapter 1559. Recommended reading. The person in the room was dressed in white. She looked delicate and weak, even more so than a gigolo. At this moment he was holding a teacup and drinking tea leisurely. He had suddenly appeared, yet none of them had noticed him. If someone who was stronger than the old ancestor wanted to do something, would he be able to escape? Sima Yue looked at him cautiously. If he wanted to do something, she would go in even if she had to expose her spirit pagoda. "Little girl, there's no need to be so nervous. If I wanted to do anything to you, you would be a corpse by now." The man smiled. Sima Yue did not let her guard down and asked again, "Who are you? Ruyen didn't say you were so vigilant." The man in white looked her up and down. "I heard that you're very close to her the moment you see her. Why are you so resistant when you see me?" Sima Yue frowned. "And Feng? From the looks of it, he seemed to be very familiar with Aunt Feng. My name is Feng Qing, your Aunt Feng's doctor. Feng Qing revealed her identity. How did you figure out the acupuncture treatment method? Sima Yue finally believed his words. She did give the silver needle technique to Aunt Feng's maid. She believed that other than Aunt Feng's doctor, no one else would know about this. Knowing that he wasn't here to hurt her, her heart finally calmed down. She replied, I saw it in an ancient book. Which ancient book? I forgot. Sima Yue made it up. There was no real ancient book. When Feng Qing saw her like this, he knew that she was lying to him. How is Aunt Feng now? Sima Yue asked. It wasn't very good at first, but with your silver needle technique, it didn't continue to worsen. She can't leave over there. Otherwise, I would have let her come over to find you. Feng Qing said. Sima Yue didn't know where he was talking about, but the person who came last time said the same thing. It seemed that Aunt Feng was really busy recently. Hearing that Feng Ruyen wasn't good, she was a little worried. Since Aunt Feng isn't doing well, why aren't you guarding her? What are you doing here? Of course I'm here for something. For the primordial sacred medicine? Sima Yue guessed. How smart. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. If he wasn't here for the sacred elixir, what else could he be here for? But the ancient sacred medicine can't cure Aunt Feng's injuries. It can't be cured, but it can be suppressed. Sima Yue felt that something was wrong. What's wrong with Aunt Feng? Did he use spiritual power? When Feng Qing saw Sima Yue staring at him, he sighed and said, I moved twice. If it weren't for the silver needle technique that you sent over, I'm afraid that he would have been dead by now. Aunt Feng she. Sima Yue couldn't say anything to reprimand Feng Ruyen. Feng Ruyen knew that she couldn't use her spiritual energy, and if it wasn't a special situation, why would she do that? When Feng Qing saw that Sima Yue was truly worried for Feng Ruyen, he thought that Sima Yue was indeed the girl that she fancied. She didn't dote on her for nothing. Don't worry too much. As long as we get the ancient sacred medicine, the effects won't be much worse than the divine medicine. Her body should be able to recover by 30 to 40%. He said it casually, but he was worried in his heart. Although the sacred medicine was good, it wasn't a divine medicine. Also, ordinary divine medicines were useless to her, only the divine scar could. However, with the abilities of the Feng people, they couldn't find it after so many years. It was most likely gone. If we have the divine scar, can she be completely cured? Feng Qing should have told Feng Ruyen that she was looking for the divine scar. There's a 70 to 80% chance. Sima Yue clenched her fist. What if we add the Eye of Earth? 80%. What if we add the Tree of Life? If we have these three things, I can definitely cure her. Feng Qing said with certainty. But these three things are extinct in the continent. Sima Yue thought for a while and said, Don't bid for the sacred medicine, bring me to Aunt Feng. Feng Qing looked at Sima Yue and saw that her expression was firm, as if she had made a decision. You have all three of these things? He even forgot to breathe. Yeah. Sima Yue said. I got them by chance. I wanted to treat Aunt Feng when I saw her, but she never came to find me. I don't know how to find her. Previously she wanted to contact Feng Ruyen through the soul imprint in her sea of consciousness, but she suddenly found that Feng Ruyen had broken the connection. She thought that it was when she was seriously injured. Feng Qing was also excited. If she really had these things, then Feng Ruyen could be saved. Then he calmed down and said, Let's wait for the auction to end before going. With the ancient sacred medicine, the effect will be better. I've also prepared an ancient sacred medicine for Aunt Feng. The one that was auctioned is not very useful for her. Sima Yue said. You also prepared the ancient sacred medicine? Yeah. Sima Yue nodded. After she opened the sacred medicine, she found that one of them was useful for Feng Ruyen and kept it. Then let's go now. Feng Qing grabbed her hand. Wait for a while, I have to tell my grandfather and the others. Sima Yue said. Then let's go together. Sima Zhiyuan and the others saw Feng Qing and became alert. There was one more person in the inn and they did not notice it. Sima Yue told them that she was leaving and told them not to bid for the sacred medicine. As for the rest, they could bid for whatever they saw. They did not have to worry about money. At most, they could use the sacred medicine's money to pay for it. Anyway, those things would definitely not be more valuable than the sacred medicine. Then when can you come back? Huang Yingying was a little worried. I should be able to come back before the agreed time with Shen Qiuhe. Sima Yue said. If I can't come back on time, when Shen Qiuhe sends someone to pick me up, Tell him that I have something to do and will look for him later. Okay. Sima Yue was afraid that they would not listen to her and bid for the sacred medicine, pushing the Sima family into the teeth of the storm. She called Sima Qing to one side and took out an ancient sacred medicine, saying, "This is also from the ore. The one that was auctioned is much worse than this one." Sima Qing understood Sima Yue's meaning and nodded. He understood what she meant. Since they had one in their family, they would not be so desperate for the one that was auctioned. Be careful. Sima Qing glanced at Feng Qing. Although he was worried, he could not change Yue's decision. "Little girl, hurry up," Feng Qing urged. "Old ancestor, you still have to be careful of the Yang family and the undead. As for the details, you can ask Uncle He later." Sima Yue saw that Feng Qing was a little impatient and did not explain in detail and returned to his side. Feng Qing used a faint golden light to envelop Sima Yue and the two of them disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Just based on this, the Sima family knew that the person who took away Sima Yue was not an ordinary person and they were worried for her. Those who read Crazy Wife, Divine Doctor's Fifth Miss, also liked it. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.